Good morning, happy people. My name is Jay Song. Welcome today to ChartRoom. Our first request is WARUS. All I have it is on crypto.com. Is this a new one? Oh no, I have it. I have it here. KuCoin. I'll do KuCoin. And MEX. Let's see how much data we got. Okay, that's about us. What all we're gonna need. So we'll look at this on KuCoin. You are worthy of it all. Ooh. You are worthy of it all. That's interesting. We got a lot of volume into the first health that we have here, which is very good. And do you notice how the volume is decreasing on these 3 points here? 1, 2, and 3. That's actually going to. This is actually going to indicate one of the type of absorption of supply, or in the direction of absorption of supply. What that means is that if there was buying, if this was buying, which usually is indicated by a move up and to the right, and you can even see that even in the future when we came back to these levels, all we did was go to the right. This is a good indication that this crypto is being, that the supply at this level is being controlled or absorbed, in other words. And it's a really good sign that you want to have. Okay, we want to see the relationship from the volume at 1, 2, and 3 to be absorbed. Okay, we don't want to see an increase or equal to volume or still aggregately high. We want to see the volume actually decreasing, or a no demand situation, which we also call aggregately low. Okay, so those are the scenarios that we want to have. These two equal that the supply has been absorbed, and we see the makings of that. Although there's still aggregately high volume here, for this third point, it equals we should be challenging that volume zone block one more time. So that's basically telling us, hey, look for prices to come here, but because we don't have an increase, because the volume's still not equal to, and because the volume's not aggregately high, we're going to be we're not looking for lower prices at the moment. So we're not looking for lower prices. We are actually looking for higher prices. Okay, that's what this means. So we're not looking for lower prices, we're looking for higher prices. If we saw one of these four scenarios here, one of these three on this side, it always indicates that the supply has not been absorbed. These 2/3 equal the supply has been absorbed or controlled. That's the best way to understand that. So when we move and rotate the volume zone block, we can tell if we have a very deep incentive to challenge that area again. In this case, if you just move it right to the right, we have a very light incentive. We have a strong incentive here. But once we get here, now we have a very light incentive because the volume here is now indicating we got that decrease in volume. So look at it carefully. Here's the volume. It's going to be very low or no demand. In fact, I would say this is probably the no demand scenario. Okay, so let's use my pen here. So this is no demand. Okay, so it's not an increase. That's the wrong symbol, isn't it? There we go. It's a no demand / aggregately low. Okay, the volume is very low here. You understand that? It's very low comparatively to all of these areas. So I like to see this type of thing because if we see the volume heavy into this area, it generally indicates that buying came on. But just because buying comes in does not mean you're going higher. And that's the thing. Don't get caught up on if it's just buying or selling. But it's a prerequisite if this crypto is going to do really good. Now, I've never seen this crypto before, but I'm letting you know how it works. Okay, this is how the game works. So first we need to see buying, and then we need to see an absorption of the buying, and we want to see the buying being in control. Okay, so that means the whales, the people who are buying this crypto, they're absorbing the supply, that they need to have done that. If they're buying and the volume keeps increasing and the volume's going up, they're doing a very bad job of that. You can see this with lots of cryptos, okay? And I point this out. I think an upcoming good crypto that looks like a lot like how you really want it to look is a crypto called LUM, L-U-M. We just looked at it the other day. Somebody found it. I was very happy about that. It looked really good, and we hoped it will continue to do good. But we want to see buying, heavy buying, and then we want to see them win the game. This is the bullish people winning. The banks, the hedge funds, whoever the large traders are in this crypto, you want to see them win. And so in this case, it's saying, hey, you need to be challenging this area one more time, but it's going in the right direction. Then when we did challenge it, now we look, we're winning. An example of a crypto that failed this test when it challenged is ETN. ETN, look at it later. I had a friend, I said, hey, it's not looking good for ETN. You're going to see the challenge again here, and then you're going to need to look at the volume. If the volume is lower, then it means that you got a fighting chance. If the volume is higher, it means that even if there was buying initially that came in, they're not winning the game. They're losing the game. You're going to see lower prices. And what did we see on ETN? Lower prices. Okay, and I think I had that conversation, Melody calculated, it was about a year ago. Okay, and I said, hey, look, we're going to see it in the next few months come down, and then we need to absorb the challenge, and then we're going to observe it, just look, just see what the volume is. If it's higher, then you're losing the game, even if there's buying. So even if there's buying, this game, they're winning, okay? So we're going to say, and I'll just type this in, look for higher prices. Okay, I know I'm spending a little more time than I probably would normally on this crypto, but if you get this material, it can help you absorb whatever cryptos you're analyzing. Look for higher prices because initial buying, in this case it was accumulation, what we would look at as accumulation, buying, that's what I determine as accumulation. Accumulation shows, and this is the keyword, absorption of supply, and I'm going to put the word control so you guys understand control of supply. All right, now the reason I use the word control is because sometimes we're viewing a cell, like if it's a cell and the word absorption is not really appropriate, so I'm just gonna start adding absorption / control because they basically mean the same thing. It's the type of manipulation that Wyckoff speaks about. Okay, so you want to see it here, and you're going to see it, and it's going to be successful or more likely to be successful. Okay, absorption of supply, and I'll put one more word, and you guys can take your screenshot. Slide shows absorption / control of supply. This greatly increases. Oh, I don't have any more room to write there. Increases odds of moving higher. All right. Now, this coming month in our chart room, we're going to be having a lot more new things, and I'm excited to show you many things. Go ahead and take a look at take a screenshot. Okay. This is a crypto called WARUS on KuCoin. Okay, so now let's draw, and I'm going to just add a note to myself, and I'm going to type the word A for absorption. Absorption / control identified. In this case, it's going to be bullish. So I'm going to put bullish, absorption / control identified. So I'm looking for higher prices from here. All right, so that's how I'm going to indicate that. The next thing I'm going to do with this is we'll draw some things on here, real quick. You deserve the glory you are worthy of. Yes, you are worthy of. I got a wick match on here, so that means I'm going to be duplicating this range on the bottom side. So let's do that real quick. And there was our weakness, and there was our test. So that one's already fulfilled. Okay, so let's draw the sword cut incentive for here. Let's draw the sword cut. It should be about right here. And this will be normal. Turn off our border. Background orange. Price, the next stop along the way / health is going to be at 0.50 cents, 50.71 to 49.45. And then what I'm going to be looking at this, it's a lot like a flat, so I'm going to use the flats analysis here. I'm going to use a flat, and I'm going to treat this like this. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm double check on the weekly chart to see if I need to bring it lower, and I think I will. Okay. I'm going to look at this price here. I'm going to bring it down to about that range, and I'll type that range. And the reason for that is because of these, on the daily chart, we see that this is the top, and yet if we look back over many weeks, we can see that the wicks are just approximately in this area on average. So I'm going to place this right about there, okay, based on this. So it encompasses the daily chart high and the weekly chart low. So as a range, it would be about here, 0.71 cents, 59 to 0.6607. All right, I think that's all about I want to say for Walrus. Look for health above here in that area, and look for weaknesses below here. Look for this crypto to move up to its next oscillation after we break up into that health. It should clear approximately this distance, and then maybe even more in the future. And we're going to get some new higher targets. I'm doing a lot of great study and work. We're going to bring you some new material with our art. And I'm excited to show you a lot of new things regarding future targets. $1.30, 125 would be the DP for this area. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Walrus. I like it. I think it's going to do well. I am bullish this crypto. Oh, I didn't show you the last smaller health. Can't believe that. So this area right here is a health you should be looking at. Okay, so just understand that's a health. This is a good spot for a price to be right now. Okay, all right, let's move on. Let me get a better picture. All right, this image is going to have most of what you need for this crypto. All right. The next one is going to be AVAX. If your house is really dirty, use AVAX. Isn't that right, house? Or is that Ajax? I've done this crypto before. Here it is. On Bitfinex, it looks like I did it. Let's pull it up. All right. We had a health into a target, back-to-back target here. In this case, the target was acting like a resistance. As soon as we came into, oh, and it was a gesture line, health. Okay. As soon as we hit that target, we came back down to the lower part of the gesture line, which is along this curve here. I'll show it to you. Okay. And then we got this appearing for us, which is really nice. Okay. All right, so price loses one health here, comes to our major health based on these areas here, and this appears to be where the big bounce is starting to happen. I really want to be above $48. Current price $24. I really want to be above 48 before I'm really like, yeah, we're going up to the moon, because it appears that this crypto is still in a shorter downtrend. It is a mid-phantom based on this area here. We can stretch it back really far if we wanted to. And you can see, so I will populate that for you. I also drew the sword cut here, preliminary. You can see when I draw it just preliminary. Basically, I'm not drawing the official sword cut. I'm just drawing the highlight. So It's approximately here. It actually should be, if you're drawing it where it should be, it needs to be here, by the way. Why didn't I draw it officially? I did just use my highlight. It's there. That's the sword cut, where it crosses over. Okay. So price hitting that target, that was hitting the target here at 225.23, and then wicking up to the target only up there. So that's good. And I also put this as a resistance, just highlighting the line. So now we're back here again. Let's take a look at the volume between these 2 points, 1 and 2. From when we hit the target and came down into that next weakness over many weeks to June. Now we're back here in July. Are we having incentive to go up? If we do, and we're going to be cracking this old target at here, and based on our target system, we want to have higher volume to indicate we're going to go up to the next area. And this is going to give us the juice that we're going to need to crack 28 and hit our target of $31.30. Okay, that's going to be our next target, and possibly make a mad dash up to $43 in this season. If it's going to, we're going to need some higher volume now that we're back here, right? Okay, we're going to need some more incentive to come up here. So let's pull up the volume. And we want to be higher on this bar, and you guys tell me, what is the market telling us here? All right, here's the first area back here in this group, and the next one's here. Okay, so here's number 1, here's number 2. Is the market giving us incentive to go higher based on this? Yes or no? What is it? Can you see? Can you tell? Let's use the VZB lessons, the volume zone block lessons that I've been teaching you guys in the micro volume analysis. Who knows the answer? Nobody? House?
Increase.
Can I hear? Increase. Increase. That's correct. Increase. I saw House mute. Are you able to talk, House? Is it muting? I don't see his microphone movement. Okay.
It's probably away from the computer.
Okay. Can somebody test their, real quick, Melody, can you edit this out? Can somebody test their microphone? Because maybe he's trying to talk and nobody can see. Can somebody else say something?
Unmute.
Unmute, please. Anybody?
Hey, Jay.
Okay. See, she can talk. Okay, so it's just probably a hot mic. Or, oh, thank you, Melody. Okay, so let's continue. It's not working, your mic. Okay. In this case, we're going to say we're looking for an increase. Was that Bridget who got it right? Bridget got it right. I'll show you another view of this. Simplified. Okay, here's a really simplified view of this. And I'm going to keep doing it till you guys get it. I want a lot of you guys to get it. Let's go to a 2-day chart to simplify. Give us a few less candles to work. I'm going to... Where's the volume? Hide drawings. Actually, that's not the best view right here for that. I'll stay on the weekly chart. Oh, you know what? Look at that. That bar is a little bit off. Okay. That bar is off. That was actually last week. Look at that. I do apologize. Melody, can you edit this part? It's not the greatest example here. Okay. This move here into health, these two centers of this energy, is a good thing. Okay? It's a good thing. However, we want to have a strong incentive and measure these two moves together. So these would be what we know as the VZB, or volume zone block. We can measure these moves together in sequence to see and read what the data might be telling us. We would read the volume here, and we would read the volume here now that we're back at these areas. In the first time around, we receive a strong volume. It's about right there, right? No, I don't trust myself anymore. There we go. So from here to here, we'll just read it as this on average. Okay. And now we're back here, and the volume was only high here, and now it's low again. So this indicates there's not a super strong incentive right here to go up. In case there's selling going on and weakness, we may come down one more time. That might be something we'll be looking at. But right now, it's not super strong incentive just yet. Okay? So we're going to erase that. But it did look like that if I was reading that bar next to it. That would have been an increase. That would have been a good example. And this is not. Okay? So not super bullish at the moment to challenge that. I would be more cautious on this one a little bit. I would be a lot more cautious on this one right now. And let me see any other things that will stand out to me real quick. I'm going to be paying attention. I would pay attention to these two. $17. Yeah, this one price already hit the 16, so we don't need to worry about that right now. I would be paying attention to the 17 for weakness, 49 for strength. And I'll leave you that. Let's move on to a different crypto. Okay? If I see anything else, I'll let you guys know. We can look at this another day. Actually, the weakness is more now at 18 and probably needs to be adjusted. Let's adjust it. Yep, we're going to bring it down. If it falls this week, it's going to be right there. Right there where the red dot is. Okay. Oh yeah, I know what I want to check. I would be paying attention to flats. The tiger that's going to be extracted from here, if you were going to, it's going to be a flat. So it would basically be the angle, which is 50% of the upward angle and 50% of the downward. So it's like this, 50-50. You understand that? The angle is almost flat. Okay, it's almost flat. Because of that, I already gave you the tiger angle here. Let's now adjust the tiger to compensate for the last newest moves. Previously they were here. We're going to now place one here at this area, which was this low that we had in April, and it gave us this as our verification. So this is another way we can say, hey, this tiger is pretty strong. So I'm going to move that weakness and give you another one underneath here. So it will be those two. So again, when I place it here, this is the verification for the tiger angle that we did in our previous video. If you want that, type in AVAX and it's going to show you some more. Okay, so now I'm going to type in that number about where it's at. It's about 1603. Okay, so get me below 1603. That's a weakness. And then we'll talk about moving down to here. Mid-phantom. I'm going to shrink that. Doesn't need to be so big. $13 and $9 and 89 cents. Yep, I'm gonna be happy with that. Okay, so right now I'm not looking super bullish at the moment, but those are going to be more accurate. Let's move on. Okay, no more questions about AVAX. Going once, going twice. Let's look at ADA. And then we'll go on to ATC, ADA, USD. I got it on Bitfinex. Here it is. Oh, good. All right. I'm going to be looking at this in October. Okay. All right, we have another health. I'll borrow that one. We have a smaller health that is appearing. We were measuring a few areas within here, so let's clean up this quite a bit and go over what's been going on. Looks like this one's trading pretty quick. Some of our last big movements we had was a weakness in this area. Price moved down to our target, 5.9. The weakness appeared about 7.1. We moved down to 5.9, 5.8. And then we went below this area a little bit. Let's now examine the volume at these two areas. We're going to see if we have a strong reason to come back down. Otherwise, we might be looking for some strong takeoff. We found that the key angle or phantom angle on bottom was holding quite nice, but the top was giving us a lot of noise. And we were looking at, should we be concerned at this core or at here? So we drew both of them for you. One of us gave us a top that was approximately right here, where these two were intersecting, and that seemed to be the dominant top. And this was like a very low incentive breakout here based on this parabolic. Okay. Very low reason to trade it for us because that other top was coming into play, and we gave it to you in white here. So therefore, we're looking at right now a new set of health. By the way, in both of those cases, prices were coming down to its target that we gave you guys at 54 cents as well. So this target seems to be holding quite nice, the larger target at 54. We'll take a look to see if we have need of this again, but otherwise it's going to be hit. So we're going to fade it away. And these older targets we can remove from the board. And we're going to fade away this line. We don't need that. Okay. Prophet Robin pushed off a cliff before rising again, $141.88 looks like. PR. I would have probably put that for Prophet Robin. Maybe that's what he said. I usually like to put these in like that purple color. Let's give it a border. Alright, so this was already hit. Let's now put our new health, and then I'm going to look at some volume for you guys. It's here. So this is a good spot to be. Here. 71 cents. So that one's already hit twice. This is our weakness. This is our sword cut. Now I'm going to view this. Okay, we're going to draw that. Does anybody remember what I'm supposed to do with, if I'm getting a majority of the energy centers here along this track, yet I got this noise sticking out? How do I solve for that equation? How do I compensate for that area? What should I do on my map? Anybody remember?
Draw flat.
That area, right?
Draw flat for the hidden battler.
Draw a flat for the hidden battler. That's right. It's quite simple. All we do is we mark the entry and we mark the basically the cores, which you're looking, or you can also do CC, which is core cluster. Okay, but this is going to be our entry or exit, in other words. Okay, either entry and exit as a range, and then your core cluster. At the very least, just draw a range if that's all you knew how to do. Okay, so we're going to mark those spots on the map here. If price ever breaks out into the health, we're looking at that area with a strong incentive to reach there. It's going to be basically here and here. Okay. We label this HB1 and HB2, Hidden Battler 1 and 2. This is how we solve for that. Basically, we have to remember that we've got to fight this guy. So that's why I labeled it Hidden Battler a few years ago. That's how we can solve for that, which is something you always have to be aware of. It's most likely going to be a double or a multi-touch flat, okay? Which is going to be this guy and that guy, okay? If you have other evidences that there's resistances in these areas, which in this case we don't, it lets you know which one you're probably going to be more looking at. But in both cases, in general cases, just draw both of them. So we're going to draw those. Let's do that now. After we draw this. Now I'm going to delete that real quick, and I'm going to show you something else, by the way. You're going to like it. Stick around just a few more minutes. Okay. HB1, HB2, $1.17 to $1.13. HB1 at $1 to 98 cents. Now we'll straighten these out, or pull them back, make our chart nice and pretty. There we go. So this is an important area, and I believe what has to happen now is we're just going to adjust it for here. And maybe I got something. Maybe it's about there. I won't worry about that too much. We don't need to do that anymore. Okay. Looks like I had some old targets here that have not been hit, so we're going to bring these along the track. Sword cut that hasn't been hit, we're going to bring those along the track. 46 to 42 cents, somewhere around there. Okay, one more thing. When I am breaking out, what should I be accounting for after the breakout? There's always one thing we have to account for. It starts with the E. Does anybody remember what it is? I'm new here. There's something very important we have to account for when we break out into hell. Anybody remember what it is, please? Event line. Good job, Bridget. The event line. Can anybody draw the event line, energy centers? And then we'll actually do the work. Just draw the energy centers. Where is the event line on here? If you are new in our community, type in the word lessons on our website, and it's going to take you to our lessons. One of the lessons is event line. And event line analysis. It's going to help you understand a very important principle that really will help you a lot in mapping out your favorite cryptos or stocks or whatever you're looking at. Somebody draw the event line on here. You guys got to get this one. This is super critical. If all you were drawing was trend lines and event lines, you're going to have a lot of the resistance areas in advance. Nobody? 10 more seconds. And I'll give you the answers. Okay, here it is. Pay attention. Here's the flow of price. Okay, we know our break. It's right here, right? Here's price. This is the basic flow. Here's the energy center for here. Here's the energy center for here. The event line is the last event that happened before the breakout. So if this is the big breakout, which it has lots of smaller energy centers, yeah, we need to account for the last event. In this case, it's these two. We have to put them together. What shape do they form when we put them together? W, okay. But it is more so than that. It's a flat. Okay, multi-touch flat, approximately. There should be a flat. What do I do after I've drawn that flat? I'm supposed to do something important. Whatever angle it was, whether it was this angle, a flat, or whatever. Okay, in this case it's flat. So I use blue. What do I do with it next? How do I use this to help me?
Move it to the top.
We duplicate it and we move it to the top. Alright, so I'm using, this is the simplified version. We just take that angle, whatever angle it is, and we click it in top between the energy center. So if here's a one energy center, the second I'm going to put it in between. It's going to be right somewhere there. Okay. Now this is going to indicate a lot of what's going to happen next. If I'm building above here, more likely I'm going higher. If I cannot crack this, I'm going down. The event line tells me where I'm supposed to reject or resist. Okay. If I don't stop there and I just keep going, that's a good sign. But generally what happens is that you reject off of that area. Certainly, currently it looks like I'm rejecting off of this area, but I need to be more approximate. But this is a basic event line analysis. Okay. So I'm going to put basic, because we're using crayon, event line. Or event angle. Okay. Let's now do it professionally. Okay, let's fade away that one. Let's borrow this flat here. Just take that flat. Okay, so this is still a daily chart. Let's go to maybe a 2-day chart. See if I can get something a little bit more. I think it's flat. It might actually not be flat. Let's go to a weekly chart to confirm that. You know what? It may not be flat at all. It may be slightly flat. I think the angle is going to be more like that. That's a good sign. Okay, this is even better. Okay, so this will be our EV, and I'll just type in EV.weekly chart, so I know I found this one on the weekly chart. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to now type this. It doesn't need to be so bold. I'm going to duplicate this angle and put it in between that, just the place I put it where. Okay, there's the energy centers again. Here's the core, and you can do it at the wick as a range. But we duplicate that angle that we found. Here's our, and it's there. Okay? So now we have a breakout into health, and we have something else to look at. Remember, EVs are super critical. They're a very important fight that price goes through. It lets you know a lot of what has to happen. Okay? So this EV is actually an angle. And therefore, this is what? When price closed last week, it came down this week, stopped there, and during the week it came back up here. What are we looking at here?
The support.
It's acting like support. That means this is actually a health. Okay? Remember, I showed you if we're rejecting there, it's down. If it's breaking above there, it's bullish. The event line gives you so much information. So as it is, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet this is going down. I would be betting it's going up. Okay? Right now, this is in a positive area. For, what is this crypto? ADA.
Would you draw the accelerated adjustment line?
Not yet. Maybe on a daily chart.
Not that one. From the green line up.
You mean from that line?
No, the bottom green line.
The target?
Bring it more together. No, the bottom one. The one at the bottom.
Oh, this one? Yeah, now you can, now that you have evidence you're going higher. You can accelerate that. And it's going to give you some more information. And I'm very glad you asked that question because we're going to be doing a lot of that. I think next month, maybe about halfway through the month, we're starting some new things. And I'm going to be doing a lot of work with accelerated adjustments, showing you some new things that God showed me about a year or two ago. And I could never fully wrap my mind around. But now I believe I'm getting close to that. And I'm going to be showing you a lot of fun stuff with the existing art you already have. Okay. As it is, I would be not letting go of ADA in this space. Let's draw the accelerated adjustment. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. So we're putting some resistance at these areas, and these will let you know some good jumping off points. So we're left with something like this. And I like it. Looks good. Yeah, and I wanted to just show you, even on the daily chart, it is, if we were just to draw this daily chart angle at the core, it's even that is not flat. Although the wicks may be flat. Yeah, the wicks are flat, I would say. That's about all we got. So maybe look for a battle in that area. Maybe that's already why we saw the big initial shakeout here in this area. We came up, got slammed back down into that area right about here, and then we came up through it more properly. Maybe that's why. I'll leave that off the board. I don't need to clutter it up, but if you were maybe just using the wick side, which is a good indication that the wick's part of breaking, so now we're breaking more properly. All right, I think that's all I want to say about ADA. Does anybody have any other questions about ADA? I think it's in a good spot. I think it has a fighting chance now.
What would be the price longer term? Do you have a high?
Let's take a look. What is the price longer term? And it says Joe. Welcome, Joe. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's see. I got $9.13. That needs to move up along the track. That was back from March of this year. So let's move this higher. So we're going to move that along this track. And what we're doing in this case, is we're measuring the entire bottom as if it's the key angle family. It's something like this. And we're just taking it on top. It should be more. Yeah, like that. And right now, if price were to hit that area, we're looking somewhere closer to $10. Maybe a little over 10. So just say we hit just say today was a super bullish day. Somewhere around 10 or higher. When we call this 10, we're going to put the little plus so that you guys remember the word dynamic positive. Okay, dynamic positive means as time goes on, more money's on the table. Here's $17 in the year of sometime at the end of 2026. So if it happens sometime this year, we know where to look for. And it is possible to clear that percentage of distance because we've done it before. So you'll see many times people say, oh, that number's too fantastical. But you can clear it because price has done it before. You know, it's just the same distance. So we're going to see that. We're going to be looking for that. If possible. So that's going to be a huge number on the board. So that's some of our long-term stuff. I really
So
love...
would you be buying today, or do you think there's going to be more of a pullback?
When we're in an uptrend, are we in an uptrend? You determine uptrends by making higher highs and higher lows. We don't have the next higher high, but do we have higher lows? Here's the lows.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
From lesson number 1, does anybody remember how do we be successful in an uptrend? We hunt something. What do we hunt? The down move. Okay, so all we do is find our down move, and you're going to tell me the answer, Joe. Okay, you're going to tell me, here's our health. Here's another down.
I just joined, so
here's
I haven't gone through the lessons yet.
No worries. You're going to tell me, though, what we're looking at. It's not hard, right? Here's a down move, right? There's our down move. Here's a down move. Here's a down move into health. Here's a down move into health. And I just drew for you guys today the new one. Here's a down move into what? What is this? Health. If all you were doing was hunting down moves, you're going to strengthen your odds greatly. If that's all you ever did. Okay? Your job is to identify your trend and then hunt accordingly. If you have targets, great. Then we have a possibility to do something. But the basics is find those down moves and you're going to strengthen your odds. Okay? We already calculated for the event line, which is going to be super critical. It's going to be one of the things we have to beat. And I showed you that it was something like that. Something like just slightly down. So we now have another health that kind of strengthens our odds even more. Now, we can never guarantee anything in the market. All we can do is stack odds in our favor. But you tell me what you might want to do. What do you guys think? Is this good, bad?
I think I should be buying.
I would probably buy. I would probably buy if it was me. This is never financial investment or trading advice of any kind. Everything's just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I can never tell you guys what to do, but I can show you basically what areas prices are entering in. Here's your sword cut. It's a flat line here. Here's your sword cut here. And I'm going to say right now it's in a good spot. Now we are accelerating, so now we're going to have to calculate for that accelerant. Michelle just told me. Just make sure you calculate for that. And it's going to be somewhere up in the sky, but that gives us room to grow. Okay, so though we're not looking for $10 right now, we may be looking at maybe closer to 190 or somewhere around there. I have to take a look at the chart. But this is the basic, okay? This is the basic view. The advanced view I just gave you was the one on the chart. Okay, so if that's all you did for ADA, it's in a healthy spot.
Thank you.
And I don't like to buy when we're in no man's land because we still may go into weakness. We still may be going up. I like to show that I'm in a new territory, health and a health. I like that. If I had to bet. Okay. The Bible says invest in 7 ventures for you do not know what will befall the land. Okay, so now let's get some more practical about some of those numbers. 172. Prophet Robin's number 141. I would say now as you're in the territory, you have a chance for that to happen. And then here's that. Let's bring that number up. It was $10.27. And then I have another DP, which is going to be somewhere about right here. 371. Where did I get that number from? It's probably... I need to adjust this one here. I don't know. It shouldn't say DP. I don't think it should say DP. But for right now, I'll delete the word DP. I would like to see how that's adjusted, but I might have to do that another day. Maybe on Monday we'll come back to that, and I'll see how I got that number. Maybe a reverberation. For right now, I'm just gonna fade it to level 1. This is the most important ones I want you guys to be aware. Oh wait, and it looks like in the volume we had a proper absorption of supply. By the way. That means the money came in on the down move, and then it says no demand followed by health. This means that supply has been absorbed. You guys see that? And then here, supply has been absorbed. This is a great example. I want to spend 2 minutes just showing you guys this. Remember I was telling you earlier about the VZB from our lessons, the volume zone block, and the micro volume analysis. See, micro. When we're talking about this, the scenario we need is initial money coming into a health. So we need that down move Professional buying happens on down moves, down bars, and downtrends. So we want to see the volume higher on the bottoms before the health comes in using the macro volume. So we already identified that from a previous video. But now once we're here, we want to read these relationships between these areas. 1, 2, 3. Basically, we want to now see the volume decrease or aggregately low, okay? Which is / no demand. Remember I showed you? That's going to equal absorption of supply / control of supply. That's going to be what we want. We want them to buy, and we want them to have power. The big boys, whoever's buying, we want them to buy and drain all the supply from that area. Because if they do, then the buying is successful. You're going to see higher prices. If we see the 3 that I told you we don't want to see, if we see an increase in volume, equal to volume, or aggregately high, then we know that these relationships have not completely absorbed it. You're going to see a higher reason to come back down to those areas. So we want to see absorption. We want to see this getting absorbed into health. Now I already showed you the health on all the counts. But now I'm going to just show you quickly this so you can have a good example of how this works in practicality. Okay, so you can use this in real life. Just look real quick. Remember, this equals supply not absorbed. One's absorbed and the other's not absorbed. Here's the legend. And I don't care if I have to draw it 1,000,000 times. You guys are going to get this. And you're going to be successful at it. I know you. I believe in you. Okay? One of those 5. Let's take a look. Here's a great example. Let's hide this lines. Pull up the volume. Go to a weekly chart to simplify everything. Okay? Here's the initial, health? Right there. And then here's the VZB. The initial VZB. We came down here, high volume in the macro, and the down bar, the volume was increasing, which is a great sign in the macro. And now we read the micro, which is the smaller relationships. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 down here. But for right now, we start here. The next area is going to be here, and the third area is going to be somewhere here. The volume from area 1 to area number 2 is decreasing. The volume from area number 2 to area number 3 is decreasing. Do you see that? That means that even if there is buying, they have to control the supply. You want that decrease. Okay? When you see that, it's less incentive to come back down to the VZB. It's more incentive now to go up. And you need that for a successful buying campaign. If you saw that there was still an increase in volume at those areas between 1, 2, and 3, and we saw something like that, then you would be looking for lower prices. But because that has not happened, ADA is in a good spot. Does that make sense to you guys? They're winning the game. You need buying, but you need of the buying them to win. Not every buying campaign is successful. They do not always win. They don't always get their way. Okay, so this is buying. We call that accumulation. Buying. We need those moves into health to really confirm the buying. But when we do have them, now we read it like a language. Letters form a sound. Sounds form a word. Words form a sentence, form a paragraph. All of that tells us context. The context of the buying is that it's winning. You understand that? Okay, so in this case, we have a higher incentive to come down. And even when we did challenge again here, look at the volume. Even if you want to lump that little wick in there, look at the volume. From here to here, I'm going to say maybe it's equal to, maybe a little greater than, but not much more. It's still aggregately low. So I'm going to use this symbol here. So those are the scenarios we need for a successful absorption of supply. So let's write down a little note for you guys to have this. Most of the supply has been And I'm going to put this word here, absorbed / controlled. All right. In this context, higher prices are more expected, which is what we're seeing already. Okay, now I gave you guys that a while back ago when I did that analysis for you. So we did that one a long time ago. So we were already looking for moves into health and moves up. Aren't you glad you're here? Aren't you glad you're learning these things? So you can start stacking the odds in your favor. We already did it. Remember, buying coming in, followed by no demand, fall into health. This is the type of stuff we're talking about. Okay? Makes these upper battles more winnable. All right. That's what all this was about back in the day. All right, let's move on. You guys are getting it. Let's move on to another example. LTC and XOR. Although XOR has been delisted from a lot of exchanges, so I may have a hard time finding it. I don't like it right now because I heard that they were printing. They were doing what the Federal Reserve does. All right, good. It's looking good. Let's see, Triple J back in 15. This will surpass an all-time high. $408. Current price $132. Current price right now $114. 840 is a benchmark. I see it like gold bold letters. 899 is going to be a crossover right here. 0.111100. What's that? Or maybe that's going to be 11100. Maybe I put the dot in there. Okay, thank you, Triple J. I have target here at $38.22. We're just going to adjust that, move that to the side. We have an upper HB at $303, 229. A very large gap. An all-time high of $382 and current price $151. Let's now take a look at some of the more important things for this chart. Let's get a fresh view and see what any new updates. All right, automatically sticking out at me is this very strong move here. Okay, it's a very strong uptrend. We're going to be paying attention to that. All the reversal points seem to be in order, which we're going to talk about next month. I'm looking at a flat here. I'm looking at possibly a flat here, multi-touch flat. We may need to pay attention to that, which is going to get us back to all-time high areas. Health. Yeah, let's clean up this chart and we're going to talk about the health. All right, here we go. So I already highlighted this area for us here, but now let's take this flat on the bottom, multi-touch flat, and we're going to bring it about right here, and I'm going to cover the range, core, and the core, and I'm going to be basically bringing this like there. Okay. I already have a health above this area marker, above 300 in that price. I'll get you the range, and I'll get you more officially. I want to be above here. 389 and 5 cents. Or just put 389 to $318. Multi-touch flat. Let's put this low here, $29.93. 26.17. If we really break into the sky, we would just simply duplicate that oscillation. I'll do it for you now. We're just going to measure about halfway and place it about halfway. Then we duplicate our angle, which is a flat angle, and we'll place it up there in the sky. So if this hits like any kind of prophetic numbers, we would be looking for really high numbers. I'll put DP at $5,043 to $4,410. Okay, so we're already left with something like that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is bring out this low, and I'm going to use I'm going to keep both of those. All right. I'm keeping the sword cut up here. at 180, 162. And then let me go to a monthly chart. All right. Now this is going to look a lot more pretty for you. We also have... All right, so if I'm looking at this a little more properly, I have a health that would appear here, but we're spiking back into here. So something else is going on. I think we're either going to transform this one into a DP. I'm sorry, a hidden battler. That little noise here, that might be noise. But it's very possible something else is going on. Either this parabolic is not as strong as it should be, but I still think it's something, because we're back here again already at $113. What I mean by that is if I'm measuring this, if I'm measuring it like this, just say I'm taking this as a parabolic, I'm breaking above into this smaller health, yet I'm still disrespecting it and coming back down. But when I came back down, I'm now back here. So I think instead of viewing this parabolic as super dominant, we're just going to view it as maybe like something like subdominant, meaning it's not as powerful right now. It's not as in charge. Okay? How we can use that to help us is when I have that parabolic curve, I simply duplicate the curve on the bottom side. Okay? And then I take the distance of those and I just simply move that distance to the top. We already done this, the hard work for you. It's here along this parabolic. Okay, which gives us some roof about here. Okay, so here's basically decision point. Here's higher, here's lower. Okay, which we already have an HB at this range. So if I were to bet which of these HBs would hit, whether we're going to hit the lower side or the higher side, I'm going to choose the higher side. Okay, I'm going to choose here with more higher degree of certainty. So I'll put a little star there. Okay, so just to remember. So that's just one way to view that part. All right. Now, the next image I'm going to show you is, let's fade this away just a bit. And let's talk about the two elephants in the room. Number one is this, and number two, it's this. Okay. We have these as health. Okay, this is a range if that's all you wanted to do, or you can draw the parabolic. In this case, I'm keeping both. I don't really know which one is going to be more powerful for me right now. But let's see if I can update maybe the parabolic to collect all of these energy centers. Let's start with the core, and maybe I'm going to get more accurate parabolic. Okay, so maybe something like that. With this parabolic, we're going to duplicate the curvature once we have as many of the bottoms and move it straight up in the air, not to the left, not to the right, but straight up in the air. And click it in place. Now I like to have some kind of verification. I have no verification along this track. Let's move it up to here if you got it. Here's a wick. Maybe on the wick side I have this as the top. Maybe. In this case, since I don't have either one, I'll just be conservative and leave it here. Oh, maybe I do have this. I'll tell you what, I do got one. Yep, right there. That wick right there. So that means of this parabolic, I'm going to be focusing on this area up here. Okay. So that's about the verification for this. It's messy, but now I have more incentive. So already we found that area, and now we are looking maybe possibly here as well. So if I was to, if this is all the data I have, then if I have a very large up move, I'm going to probably be looking for a candle that looks like this with the wick maybe up there. Okay, so now I'm already getting a picture that's forming of where all the resistance are happening. So now we've covered the flat and the flat here on those weekly charts, and it's giving us resistance in this area, right? So there's reasons now why we want to come up to these areas. Okay, so if I was a betting man, I would be betting here in this area rather than the low side of 29. Okay, does that make sense so far? The picture's coming together. I'd be actually looking more towards 303 in that range, maybe even a little higher so far. All right, now are we getting up? Let's continue more. Now I have this flat, this straight angle as a key angle. And if I'm to collect all of these points, I'm going to say this is probably going to be the more stronger one of all of them that I drew for LTC. So it's here, and on the wick side, the wicks somewhat match. So I got the wick somewhat matching here and here. So I'm going to use that as a range, and we just take that angle and we place it again at the top here at the core. And then if I give myself the wick match distance, which is approximately here, and I just tack that on, we already did that work for us. It's along this track, right? Somewhere about right there. And the number that I had for you at the time was 662, but now it's going to be a little bit higher. But somewhere around there is now our higher area. Now here's the thing. When I place it at the highest energy center in between those areas, if this is our energy centers, 1, 2, just say 3, somewhere around along that track, the highest energy centers in between those is right there. What is this? Therefore, what is that? What is it? What do we call this?
Verification.
We call it verification. When you're doing your homework, it's important to find verification on your charts. It lets you know that you're going in the right directions. It lets you, hey, you may want to pay attention to these angles that you're drawing. If you have reasons to show that you're getting it right, look for it. Okay? It strengthens those angles. So now I have more incentive for the high side of 662. Okay? This is how I like putting the picture together. Okay, so as long as now we are in the right areas and we're drawing correctly and we're still in, and what I mean by in the right areas, the territories that we're drawing. If the territory is entering a healthy territory, we have incentive or reasons to clear those areas. If we don't, then you're going to be looking at the bottom targets and things like that to be active. But right now, as it is, we're in a uptrend or downtrend?
Up.
Uptrend. How do we make money in an uptrend?
Hunting the down moves.
Hunting the down moves. That's right. If all we did was simply hunt some down moves, here's a down move, here's a hell. Here's a foundational down move right there from descend. This area, even the wicks mat somewhere about here, here's your health. So if all we were doing was buying healths in positive areas, we're more likely in the right directions. So as it is, this crypto is still in health. The weaknesses appear down here when we're below these areas, which has not happened. So if we had to bet one direction, right now we're only allowed to take bullish trades. Okay, here's a weakness, and here's another weakness. They're on the board. You guys can measure them yourselves. $53, nope, $55 is basically where it's at. Okay, so if you were measuring that parabolic, then the health was at $100 and 101. Okay, if you're measuring the next health, let's see, based on these areas, it's probably going to be in a few more days. Should we buy this now if it hasn't moved into the next health? Probably not buying it, since we're pretty off from the last entry. But if I had it, would I want to sell it? Probably not. I'd probably want to try to risk it for the biscuit for the breakout. Otherwise, I'm just going to be looking to take profit, and then I'll come back in to come to this crypto. You may want to set your alerts, but if that's all you were doing, you're going to be more successful. All right, everybody got it? Okay, any other questions this crypto? You keep doing it, you're going to be able to draw all the things that the Lord may be showing you. If you're new to our method and you have other methodology, then our art will not hurt your methodology. At any point, whatever type of trading system you use, you can add it with a map, a price map, give you some important areas. Come, paint some pictures, confirm the things you're using already. Let's look at XOR. All right, I'm having some planning right now with the conference that's going on. It's going to be conference/gathering. We're looking to have it in Arizona later in this year in October. So right now the date's still tentative. We're still working on it. So if you're interested in maybe being part of the planning committee, let me know. Shoot me an email. Say, hey Jason, I want to be part of the planning, the committee, and I can help if you want to. All right, let's move to XOR. Now, XOR was a crypto that one time had a very strong, what I believed to be buying at the bottom. And I really liked it. But then they did something that was very wrong. And that was they printed after the fact. So if you have all this crypto and you're holding it, now you're the big kahuna. You're the one that has the most incentive. But because you have the most power control. But if they start printing a bunch and now you don't have it so much, you lose power. There's no reason to hold a crypto that can be printed on the back end. In fact, in America, that's why we fought to get rid of central banks so that we would never go to a central bank system where they're in control and they can manipulate the currency. You all know what happened. We went back to a central bank system. Stocks, cryptos, anything that allows printing after the fact is evil and it's not good and can mess people up really bad. The crypto is called Sora. Oh, looks like, yeah, XOR or Sora. This one was measured, and we're going to have to go to a crypto. Let's pull it up on dextools.io on the website. And then we're going to go to here at the top in the search bar. We're going to type in XOR. And it's going to be one of these. Here's Unwrapped ETH. Here's XOR and USDC. It should be the same. You look it on USDC. That's not right, is it? Let's look it up on Wrapped ETH then. I'll use this one as the higher market liquidity. The current price is 15 zeros, 13.89. This should be enough. All right. Okay, so you can see in this crypto was once trading at over, what is this? $100. Here's $111. Then it fell, and the price fell to 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, 2, 2, and now it's just like in the dumps. If you're asking me, can Sora do anything good with these, then my answer would be no. Not until they change their policy, where the printing is not on the back end. Otherwise, it's just a scam to get people out of the money. Then we have this really high volume mark right here at the top. That's right, but the move's into weakness, so there's going to be selling here. I'll show you what I mean. So when you have high volume on an up bar that moves down and moves to the right and down, that's going to be what we know as selling. Okay, that's one of the easiest ways to identify that. The high volume on that area equals selling. So they're still dumping this crypto. Now the foundation of the area gives us a lot of the incentive on where things will change. And in this case, weakness fell into this market here. See this move just right up there? That's not good. That's basically telling us we're still supposed to be moving down. And the health appears somewhere way over here in the future, a long time from now. So don't worry about it. I don't worry about that. Now, if I was measuring, you got this large parabolic here. That parabolic is notable, but it's just saving grace. If you can calculate the trajectory of the parabolic, and I have to only use manual tools here, but I'm going to say it's somewhere about right there. But even here, this move was not up until it was still down in there. So I'm going to say that this also was not so much a saving grace. If I'm off by a bit, maybe it's here, and even then it's a weak, very weak move. So no matter how I slice it or dice it, this is not healthy. Okay, there's no health there. Even though we moved on to a positive side, we were supposed to get a bounce, maybe a sword cut, something that would indicate some kind of health. Okay, it's just not appearing. Or not healthy. How about that? If I was to measure this, every time I look at this crypto, it's not good anymore. It's just a scam. If I were to measure the smaller health, I still got some time to wait. Maybe here we're going to do some better. And then if I was measuring, yeah. I'll measure one more thing for you guys. Pay attention to it possibly in May. I would be looking at possibly September, October. Either we're going to go down or up. I'd probably be looking for there to be the big movement. We'll talk about that next month. More next month. Yeah. The last, and it hasn't been good in a while. We were looking for it to come into a health. We were looking for the volume to be bullish back here on these areas. But the problem is they print on the back end. Okay, so remember, if they printing on the back end, there's no way for you to actually, or for professionals to actually accumulate this, because then they can always just print more, even if you did accumulate, and it's a scam that way. All right, any other questions for me? XOR. Okay, all right. We'll be back tomorrow. WordRoom, Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our standard WordRoom Sunday service message. For those who want to join us, it's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll get the link in your Patreon. And you can be a free member on Patreon too and still get the link for WordRoom. XLM, we have a large oscillation like this. We won't spend too much time about it. We haven't had anything new. We talked about it. XLM is not one of my more favorite ones. It moves very quickly. It doesn't, and these ones are going to be harder to catch the entries because they go really fast. The health doesn't give you any kind of pullbacks. It's really high off the entry. It's not my favorite cup of tea for XLM. We can watch for when of those things are happening, but I like to buy at the breakouts in health, or I like to buy along the support track if we have it. In this case, it was very difficult to get these, and that's why XLM is not my favorite of all of them. I know XLM is going to do well prophetically. It's going to do really good, but every time I look at it, it moves very quickly through its charts with very little. Now we do have targets, and the targets were hit really nicely. This target was hit 47 cents to 45 cents. We stopped right about there. The next candle over, we weren't able to clear it. We did hit the prophetic number of 50 cents. You know how I draw these for you guys all the time? I'll say when these targets overlap, I'll draw a candle that looks like this, and I'll draw a spike. That's exactly what happened here. You're spiking into these areas just like that. This is why I draw that symbol for you like this all the time. Because when we can start seeing if we can be more liberal or conservative, we can use these to our advantage. In this case, if we have a large, maybe a prophetic number or a lot of other places on the map that are indicating up here, we can take a little more profit than we would here. We can take some more exits there or something like that. And so pay attention when you have all those overlapping targets. All right, anyway, there's not much to say right now about XLM. We do have some higher highs at 64 to 60 cents. Are we going to be hitting right now? I don't know, but at the moment, but we are going to show some more things coming this month using some new added methodology to help us with future prices and future targets. We're doing star method. We're doing a few things with time and price, a lot of things with time and price, and you're going to be able to see some more things on the board. But right now, I'll give you those higher targets on the board. If you're still in XLM and we're able to clear these areas to the next areas, we're going to be looking at the flat at 64 to 60 cents. Then we're going to be looking closer to 98 cents. Then we're going to be looking at here at $1.74, and then we're going to be looking also closer to $2.63. So let's talk about where we got those numbers from. So I already showed you the parabolic based on these areas here, and this parabolic is going to be duplicated. So basically, here's the core, and where we're looking for the bulk of that to happen here at the core, and then it's here and here. So we have a lot of reasons why we're looking at this curvature. When we duplicate that curvature at the highest energy centers, I'm placing it approximately about here, and we have some verification along that initial area. So that kind of more confirms where I should be placing it. And it's in the sky. Now the thing about this is it's already starting to slope, so we're going to just concern ourselves where it flattens out. So it's going to be somewhere about $1.74 is where we're going to level out, and we're not going to draw that curvature down. At least at this juncture, we're not drawing circles in our star method, just unless you're using star method. But right now, we're just drawing all parabolics as flat as we have for several years, and they seem to serve us really well as a breakout area. So the next health, therefore, really appears above there, and we have a chance to go up. Otherwise, we're looking to come back down, okay, from here. The other areas, I'm sorry, that's that one, right? The other area we're looking at is the, what did I look at? Why do I have it a little higher? Let's see. All of that should have came down. Now, where did I get this one from? Oh, yeah. Now, this one is based a little bit higher, tracking this curvature, which is the adjacent. I don't always use that if I didn't have anything else in the past to use. But I do like to use it sometimes. And in this case, I'm not going to put too much weight on that one. So it should be faded away. I don't know why I have it so thick. I don't use it so much, the adjacent. But maybe that's at the time when I first created it, that's all I had. Oh, I know why I created it. I believe I know why I created it. Let's duplicate this again. Let's move this to the right. These need to line up. And that needs to line up as well. Alright, so they're all lined up approximately. Good. I had at the time drew a mid-phantom somewhere up here along this curve. Now this could be a simple reverberation where I was looking at, but I'm not going to put too much weight on it right now since I'm highly disrespecting that same line. So I'm not going to focus on that too much. And if so, that would have gave me a higher phantom somewhere about where we have right now. Somewhere about right there based on the halfway measurement. So basically, this would have been a possible mid-phantom. It looks like all it was just a slight reverberation. I'm not going to put too much weight on this line still up there yet. I do want to do one more measurement down here, and that's going to be this, and that's going to be about where that should be right now. If I was measuring halfway between moving this as a mid-phantom, I have some results around here, but at the same time, I'm still not happy with all of this. This is still going to give us incentive if we're doing hidden Balor at giving us results here and here. These are the two areas that have to be challenged. The bottom one was challenged, the top one's here. So even no matter how I slice and dice it, I'm going to say to myself that this area needs to be counted for. So if it's hidden Balor, we're getting up there. If it's measured at here, we're getting somewhere there anyway. And I'm going to say I'm not going to draw this as a strong hidden Balor. So I'm going to just fade that away right now and place this in the standard way, which is if I have the parabolic, place it up there. Don't try to adjust it for the mid-phantom for this one to try to get the exact measurements. At the very least, you're just dealing with reverberations. And if you have taken our reverberations module, you know what I'm talking about. In our lessons page, type in the word lessons, look for the lesson called reverberations, and you're going to see how the parabolic or the straight key angle family or even flats, they just reverberate and they just echo over and over again like cycles. So right now I'm just going to leave it where I have. We're going to focus on the level out at 98 cents. All right, now with that said, let's fade away of this parabolic as well, and I'm going to be looking for XLM to continue higher to these areas based on so far what I have on the data. But to confirm that, there's one more thing we can use to help us understand if we should be going higher or lower. Does anybody know what it might be that we're going to use to see if we should be looking higher or lower? Go ahead and unmute your microphone. What should I do to give myself a good idea if I'm looking higher or lower? $1 to 96 cents. 96. 8 cents.
Volume.
Volume. That's right. Volume. Good job, Beverly. Okay. We can also use event line. Yep. We want to look at that one. Good job. We're going to be doing that in just a few moments, drawing those. Okay. But for right now, let's focus on volume. So to simplify things, we're going to just simply hide our lines for just a moment. And we're going to focus on the VZB, the volume zone block, which is the area we need to focus on. All right, so let's hide our lines, get a fresh look at the chart. All right, I'm going to tell you what we're going to be looking at before we look there. Here.
Thank you, Jason, for doing this, even though it's not your favorite. Thank you so much.
She understands my pain. She hears my pain. Here we go. So we're going to look at the VZB, which is this area approximately here. Now, the term volume zone block is an arbitrary term. It's basically, what that means is it's subjective. You can just look at it and say, okay, I'm going to use that as my volume zone block, for lack of better terms. We're going to be looking at this area in the volume because it's the energy center. And because of that, we're going to just block this out and read the volume in these areas. Okay, if I was reading the volume in maybe this area right here, I'd want to read it horizontally like this. Or if I was reading it here at the bottom, I would read it like that. Since health has come into this crypto, we're going to read this in these areas here. VZB, volume zone block. It's the same, you can stretch it out, but we're going to basically read it like that. Okay. Now, what we're trying to do is we want to read that if they're selling here, maybe there was some selling here. And maybe there was, because the move came into a weakness, right? Right here. But if there was selling, we want to see high volume at those areas. But if the sellers came here, they're not winning as much here, right? Because we didn't come all the way back down. It's very possible that we're seeing the selling starting to dry up. So even if they're selling, which right now this one's a little hard to tell if they're selling, because we don't really have, in the foundational area, we don't have a strong weakness. We're still not there in weakness. So we got to be really careful, although this one is maybe almost straight up. If there is selling here, we want to see the sellers start to lose the battle. Okay? We want to see the sellers lose the battle. For us to understand if they're losing the battle, we need to see if their control is lost. So the two words are absorption and control. Absorption/control is what I started doing last week to simplify this terminology. Absorption and control. That kind of hurts my eyes with the blue on there. We need to change that. Okay. This is what we want. These are the symbols we look for, as I teach you guys many times in a session. The legend is this. Can anybody remember the 3 that we're looking at for lack of absorptions/control? What are the 3 symbols that we use? There's 3 of them. Let's hear them. The first one is, what is it? Shout it out or put it in the chat. One of them equals the supply being absorbed/controlled and the other does not. It lets us know what we're looking at before we look at it. What are they? What are the 3 on this side and what are the 3 on this side? Who remembers?
I might say this wrong. Are you looking for lower lows?
Okay. Yes, you're in the right area. The ballpark, that one's going to be one of the symbols we're looking for. That is going to be in the absorption/control being correct. Okay, so we're going to look for a decrease. Okay, in volume. That means that the supply is being absorbed/controlled. That's why I put a check mark there. Okay, what's another one? Somebody shout. Equal to and increase. Good job, Bridget. Here's equal.
Aggregately high.
Yep, that's right. So equal to, increase, and aggregately high. The symbols. Okay? Increase, equal to, and aggregately high. Which means high overall. Okay? This one, decrease. And what was the last one? Who remembers what it is?
Aggregately low.
Aggregately low, that's right. So we're going to be looking for something like that, maybe. Or overall, still low. Okay? So these two start indicating that the supply is being absorbed/controlled correctly. This one indicates they're losing. The supply is not being absorbed/controlled. Okay, so even if they're selling, if we see the volume increasing at these relationship points at the VZB, we'll just mark it with 1 and 2, okay? So we're only challenging here twice, right? 1 and 2. It's going to tell us the relationship. If the relationship is there's an increase in volume, most likely we're going to come back up to those areas again, even if they're selling. If the volume is still equal to, we're going to come here. But if there's a strong increase in volume, most of the time we're going to see higher prices. The strongest one is this one, increase. Okay? If we see an increase, look for us to not just challenge that area again, but sometimes break through that challenge. If it's equal to, most of the time we're getting there. If it's still aggregately high, there's just still incentive to get down there, but it's not as critical. If we see that there's a decrease between areas 1 and 2 on this column, we're going to be looking that the sellers are completely absorbing the supply, and we're going to look for this to come. They're winning. Basically, the sellers will be winning. So there we'll see this dumping or falling. If we see it still low, then it means they passed off all their supply to the limits. One tells us they're losing, one tells us they're winning. If the sellers win, then prices are going to come down. But if they lose, they're going to pull back. I gave you an example last week. I said, if you're doing real estate and you're selling your homes really high for $500,000, and then you come back and the next week there's even more people showing up your door to try to put in applications, like double the applications, and you had an increase, you're going to stop selling your home for $500,000. You're going to raise the prices to $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, even $1 million. Okay? Because that home has now more supply. There's an imbalance of supply and demand. There's too much supply in the market. So instead of trying to sell it at these prices, just wait. Hold back, get a better price, or stop fighting. Stop fighting against it. But the others, if you notice in real estate, if you selling a home for $500,000 and you had a lot of applicants, and then this time next year you sell it again for $500,000, and you're only getting maybe 1 or 2 applicants, what does it tell you? What should you do if you're getting not many applicants at that price? What should you do?
Drop the price.
Drop the price. That's exactly right. Basic laws of supply and demand. I'm putting it in ways that you guys can understand so you can memorize it quickly. There's so many houses in Arizona now getting flooded. I told people, do not buy right now in real estate, because I was looking at the market of the real estate market. You can easily see weakness entered. So we're at basically a top. You're going to see prices of homes fall. And what did we see over the last few? I had a meeting with somebody just 3 months ago. And I said, don't buy a house right now. If you're going to buy a house, just rent and then buy a house later on once we're at the bottom of the market. But you're going to see housing markets fall. You're going to see the market's oversaturated. And what are we seeing in Arizona? Tons of booms in real estate. Not the time to buy. Homes are being for sale, and we're hearing more and more about it now, 3 months later after I've already called it. And even in our own neighborhood, just our neighbors are not selling their homes. I told them the house is too expensive. You need to bring down those prices if you're going to sell it. I didn't tell them that. I told Melody that. I said they need to lower these prices. No one's going to move in because they need to pay attention to the market around them. The market's oversaturated. If you want to sell your home, you're going to drop the price. But this is the same situation. Does everybody get that? So now we're going to look at this crypto in real time and see what the odds are that who's winning, the sellers or the buyers. And then you're going to tell me which direction is more likely we're going to see. Okay, so let's pull up the volume and we'll look at this in real time. Okay, you guys ready? All right, you're getting it. Every time you do it, you're going to just get it more and more. Okay, I don't expect you to get it all in one day, but you will get it. You understand some of these basic things. When you're a billionaire and millionaire, you won't be as easily swindled by all the market gurus. And if you're learning more advanced things, you'll be even more incentivized. You'll be even more better than you would normally be. Okay.
So Jason, I told you I was going to study this summer. The reason why I haven't, I had 2 hard tests. One was a 60% pass rate, the other a 40% pass rate.
Wow.
And they told me I can teach next year, but not the year after unless I pass these tests.
Was it your Series 6 test or something like that?
This is science and general knowledge. They just threw me into a classroom because I had the engineering background, and most teachers have to do all these tests before they start teaching. So I'm really sorry. I'm going to study after January, then I'm a legit teacher.
Wow, good job. Congratulations to you. Shh, son, go to mama, okay? Sorry, my son is a little loud. Good job. I hope you pass and you get all those. So now let's look at this together. All right? A few times doing this and you're going to get it more and more. Let's look at the volume at the VZB and mark it on the chart. So we were somewhere about where we were about right here, I think. Okay, here and here. So we're going to say somewhere about right now. So an average in those 2 areas. Then here, we're looking at the top of the market. We're about right there Okay, let's take a look at the volume and now read it. So this is about right, correct? Now let's read, on average, the volume is going to be, what's the relationship between 0.1 and 0.2? You guys tell me, what is the relationship between these points? Who's got it? Which of the symbols apply? Shout it out. Unmute your microphone. Equal to, that's right. Now, that's right. Equal to gives us what type of more likely outcome after the down move happens. Okay? This is like, what does equal to mean? What do you guys remember it means? I just gave you the answer a few minutes ago. That's terrible. Equal to. Here we go. What is it?
Supplies and absorbed.
Yeah, that means that the sellers are not winning. Okay, so far. The supply has not been absorbed / controlled. Okay, so if they're selling, which there was, right? They're selling. And if all we were doing, maybe drawing that and just saying they're selling here. The sellers are winning or losing because of the equal to.
Losing.
They're losing. That's right. So the sellers are not in control. If there's a battle between up and down, the sellers are the ones that are in favor of it going down. And they're not winning. So this means we look for increase or at least a challenge 2. In this case, the answer is going to be a challenge 2. The one that we like to see heavy is a strong increase. Okay? Now there's always exceptions to the rule. But after this point, we would simply hunt the down move and look for a health. Now, if all we had was that, this is a health. And if all we had was the second one, this is a very quick health. Not my cup of tea. But because of these 2 points that we would have already in the past, we have an incentive to come to this VZB a third time. Okay? So in this case, I'm drawing the VZB with yellow. But it's somewhere about these prices we're incentivized to come again because of the equal to nature of 1 and 2. Okay? So it makes sense why we're challenging here, right? There's still market that has to be absorbed here. Now we're going to read the third relationship because it looks like we're back here again right now, right? Somewhere here. So this means challenge. Okay, and I'm going to put this here. Challenge to higher prices justified. Okay. What would happen after this is likely we're going to see a move up again. Okay, so now we're there and it cleared that territory very quickly. Back to the VZB. So now let's read the relationship between this area and here. Now we don't have where the real weakness is here or based on this foundational area here. So this is going to be the more stronger weakness, okay? And we're not there. All we are is just cutting this sharp move up. It's all the best we got. But as it is, we have something to start with. If they're selling, which we don't have just yet, but if we are, we're going to want to read the relationship. As it is, the volume is still what? In this area. If this was number 3, and this was number 3 right here, what is the relationship between 1 and 2? What symbol would we want to give this? Which one? Lower? Is it no demand? Or is it something else? It's a decrease. Yes, it is a decrease. There's a special symbol for this one, though. It is decrease. There's a special symbol for it. Aggregately high? No, it's not aggregate. Yeah. Aggregately high. That's right. Aggregately high. So we don't have no demand exactly. It's still aggregately high. Now, sometimes aggregately high could aggregately low would equal no demand. In this case, it's still aggregately high. And what I mean by that is it's still high overall in relationship to its other relative volume. Okay? So this one's saying, hey, the supply is still not fully absorbed. So even if they're selling right now, which we don't know yet because we don't have any weakness to prove that. But even if it was, already it's looking, there's no real strong incentive to come down. The sellers are still losing. So this is an early sign, and I'm going to put this in so you guys can see it. Possible early sign, not sing. I was absent the day we taught spelling, guys. Okay. Possible early sign, supply is not supple. My gosh. So you guys make me nervous. Supply is not controlled / absorbed. This means, not means, guys, means sellers are not yet winning. Okay, if the sellers are not yet winning, then we're not ready to short this. They're most likely going to lose. If this was possible selling, but we don't know yet, coming soon, we'll just say coming. But, and I'm going to put this so you guys don't just think there, but this is important. This is bullish. This is likely, therefore bullish. And I'll read that again, okay, so you guys can have this. Put it back in English terms, okay? If they're selling here and here, from 1 to 2, 1, 2, and this is going to be 0.3, okay? And there's an equal to volume. That means there's incentive to challenge the area again. They're not winning. There's still too much people willing to sell the real estate or buy the real estate for the $500,000, like in the example I gave you earlier. Now we come up here again, and there's still some people coming out of the woodworks. So it's really not just yet ready to come down, and there's still no weakness on the board. Either here or underneath here, there's not really a strong weakness to come down greatly. Okay, at that point. There's not really a reason to short this just yet. Sellers may be coming out, but of the sellers, those challenges, the higher price is justified, but of the sellers that may be coming soon, but I put this, possible early sign that supply is not controlled / absorbed. This means sellers are not yet winning. This is therefore likely bullish. Okay, so we have more chances to go up. It's not a super strong incentive to go up, but it's showing us that it's not yet winning. So therefore, we might look at this to be more range trading. We definitely want to have some confirmation that we're going to go up. So at the moment, we're going to say we're still in this area. Okay, we're still going to be more likely in this area / to be a little bit bullish. Okay, now what type of range are we really dealing with? If we're looking at this carefully, I'm going to look at the all-time high somewhere here, and around the core areas, which is somewhere here. So the real challenge areas may be closer to a little bit like 82 cents, right? And here's going to be maybe 55, 70, somewhere around 60s. Okay, so 60s to 82. So now let's look at this a little bit more clearly. Go ahead and take a screenshot if you want. We're just breaking it down with crayons. Now let's go. Let's put back on our map and see where we really have. So we have that range that I just gave it to you, somewhere about right here. And the range from these areas is somewhere about up here in the wick. And the only reason I'm giving you this range, is so that you guys have a reason to look back at the VZB. So I will put a little border. I'll put a little box around approximately where we're going to be looking next. So all up in here, even till now, I think, is going to be the VZB, which is going to be a very, very wide range. Border. Okay, so I'm going to specifically put this as VZB, so you can understand how wide it actually is. Okay, it's probably somewhere between here and here, that's what we're measuring. So if I'm playing out here over the next few months and I seem to have a stronger increase in volume than point 1 and 2, you're going to be looking at higher prices like $1. You're going to be seeing $2.63. You're going to be seeing that higher prices, and you'll know you want to hold on to your XLM. As it is right now, it's looking like we're still supposed to be up here. Understand? Okay, so I'm going to put that in my little commentary. VZB, and I'm going to put July 28th, no, 27th, 26th. July 26th, 2025 indicates sellers not yet winning. Look for prices to play between 80 cents. Current price is 46 cents and current price is 44 cents and 46 cents. So 46 cents to indicate next move. Okay, so we can use this wide range to help us understand what we should be looking for in the next coming months. So if you see it, we'll examine it again, and we're going to see what's going to be happening overall. Longer term, this is going to be a really big important area for us. If I see an increase in volume over the next couple of months and it keeps ramping up, guys, you're going to see higher prices. Simple as that. All right, let's move on. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. Did you say 82 cents?
This is just the range right now, currently between the all-time high, 80 cents. Earlier I said 82.
How long will it take from there? Months?
It could be over the next few, let's see. It could happen over the next few weeks. As soon as we are getting in this range, you want to just keep reading the volume in that range. But this is going to be the volume, the type of volume that's going to indicate those higher numbers like $32, $2 and $6, $1.74. So I know it seems like it's a long time, but this is you're talking about huge.
There's a prophetic word by Rob, and it says when it reaches 80 somewhere.
Really?
That's where you sell and buy XDC.
Okay. Wow.
Can you say that one more time? I didn't hear that.
There's a prophetic word that when it reaches 80, like Jason saying, like few weeks. I assume it was few weeks. Once it reaches to 80 cents, sell your XLM because XDC will go next. I think this is where my dream is. It's saying.
Was it Prophet Robin or somebody?
That I'm seeing. Yeah.
Once price
80 cents
reaches 0.80 cents, sell.
Then buy XDC.
Obtain XDC. Okay.
I think XDC will go like somewhere $5. That was, if I remember. I need to review my search. Yeah, that's what it's. My XLM is set to 80 cents right now.
Okay. Let's put a marker there, somewhere about 80 cents. Here's a little flat line. Coordinates. I'm just going to type in 0.80. Not $80. 0.80. Oh, 0.80. There we go. And again, 0.
I think you're right. There's somewhere 82 cents. You said, right? You're right. When I heard you said that, I was like, wait, what?
Okay. So a good indication, therefore, once we reach that number, a good indication for us will be lower volume. So if we get up here and the lower volume happens, we know that the sellers are winning. We're going to be seeing price come back down. So we want to see that sellers winning. So we want to see lower volume or aggregately low / no demand. We want to see it really low. And then we're going to be looking for prices to come down. As it is right now, we're supposed to be playing here longer. Okay. That's why I said, look for prices to play in between this area. Okay, everybody got it? I know it's not what people want to hear. We want to see like strong indications what's going to happen, but in my opinion, it's not super clear. Although it is still health and we still have targets on the board. Here's $1.9664. That's where we're looking. So far right now, we're just hitting this resistance. Not my cup of tea. USDT.D is the one that we kind of use to indicate where we're at, what's happening with the market. If you understand this crypto, most of what you need to understand, we're using this area to indicate, we're using this chart to indicate where the strongest moves in the cryptocurrency world will come in. One of them is this target here that we gave you guys months and months ago, okay, $4 and something cents. And it always overlapped here with these other these targets over here, and also the old flat and a few other things like the leveled out parabolic. All of that told us that this area was where we're supposed to bounce. And it also told us where the floor was. So we know from lesson number 1, what happens at our important trend lines is just as important as what doesn't happen. For example, if price is supposed to bounce along this line, but it doesn't, it indicates weakness. If the health never comes in, then the health just keep moving to the side, and price enters the territory where it starts telling us what we're really looking at. We're looking for prices to come down to those lowers. So price came to those lows, bounced a little bit, and then this day, it bounced just a small bit. Right there on that day was July 19th. I told you guys, hey, this is another sign of weakness. So this means we start paying attention to the lower targets. Now already we hit that lower target within the following day and came up. But this starts telling us we're looking for the next major supports. In this case, it's here and here. Okay, right there, August 4th is about the vortex. And I'm putting this as the incentive, and I drew this. Now, those old supports, when they fail, we look for prices now to indicate the next thing. I gave you 2 things that's going to happen. One of them is either going to be we're going to play in this area, and I give it as the delay symbol, which is usually indicated by this, or a yellow circle, or a circle with a yellow border. But because we didn't really get stuck in there, we just went right down into the next weakness. The weakness is the thing that happened. This one right there. Okay? So this, therefore, the health goes away, and you can actually now read it, what's really happening. So all of those resistances are indicating what's the truth. The truth is price came down, price came up, it's getting squashed right there underneath. So all of those old floors that were supposed to be the floors are now tackling us. It's like you broke down to the ceiling in the basement. Now you come up from your pogo stick and you're hitting your head on the old roof. This is that, okay? So this is us getting stuck down here, and this indicates that we should still be coming down. When this chart goes down, what happens to cryptocurrencies?
Oh, wow.
They go up. Generally, they go up. We start seeing Bitcoins go up. We start seeing altcoins start going up. We start seeing cryptos have a chance to start moving up. And why is that? Because this is a measurement of the dominance of USDT. USDT is the tether, which counts for approximately 90% of all stable coins. Unfortunately, that's the case. Stable coins represent cash in hand. Okay, when people are holding on to cash, it's not being spent. It's not at the stores. It's not on going out to eat. It generally means the economy comes to a slowdown when people are in cash positions. When people are heavily in USDT, it means they're waiting off the sidelines. They're not waiting for crypto. So the crypto markets are not so bullish. But when they're leaving their cash positions, their tether, that means that the money's in cryptocurrency. So if this is coming down, that means it's not as dominant. People are not putting their money in cash positions. They're putting their money in the markets. So when this goes down, it's still a strong indication that the markets are bullish. Okay, so that's how we use that chart to our favor. So right now, this is telling us, hey, we should be now, the next stop along the way, since we already hit the top part of here, we're going to be looking at this number, the low side of the number, which is 404. All right. And we're going to be looking at the next number, which is this support's down here. So that's about 384 to the high side, and we have a flat here. We have an old target here, which was hit back in the day, and I've given you this target for several years, but I think it's like at least 2 years that I've given you this target. Sorry, we hit 1, 2, and maybe a third time. But we also have the swing target, which is this block here, between 3.5 to 3.1. Where these overlap is approximately 3.51. So I'm going to be actually looking there. And remember, I also need to let you guys remind you, 2 things I tell you often. I had a dream or a vision that price bounced off on a curvature here. Okay, I told the Pastor Crypto Night months and months ago, I said, hey, once we get down to this percentage, I saw a vision that price bounces out this way along a curvature. And what that means is that there's still time before the next vision and dream that I had happens. Now, I really believe this is going to happen in the future. I've been advocating for these lows for a long time. And I said, when this happens and prices hit these lows, you're going to see the market being bullish. But I also had the vision that the market hits underneath here in this block. Okay, I had a vision or a dream that we were underneath here a while back. Okay, I think it's almost a year ago maybe now, that we were somewhere underneath this pink line. I don't remember the exact date when I had the dream or vision, but I remember it was here. One of them was a dream and the other was a vision. I saw it very clearly, those two moves. So if I'm getting down here, I think we actually are going to take a break at this point. I think that means that you're going to see prices cool off for a bit, and there's going to be one more entry. Because if we come up from here, that means that we're going to have one more chance to get here. So that means there's two more chances to be bullish. So that means the markets are going to give us an incentive or a chance to get down here. There's going to give us a strong reason to get down here. I believe we'll draw a parabolic at that time, and we'll cut it, and we'll look for the weakness, and you guys will be able to strike. And you're going to be able to take this last big bull move. I think this is going to be a last big bull move. From here, we'll track the downward trajectory, which should be something like this. Right now, it's looking June 2026. And I'm going to tell you privately, I'm doing a lot of new things in the market as far as some new calculations involving some math. And what I'm calculating right now, it keeps pointing to June 2026. So far, I did some initial calculations yesterday, and I marked out some places on Bitcoin. And I am not telling anybody, but I'm seeing June 2026, which is really interesting. Can anybody tell me why that number is interesting? For me specifically. Does anybody remember why? Yeah, that's right. Because June, yeah, V? What were you going to say, V?
June 20 something is the day you dreamed. Something's going to happen.
That's
so
right.
It could be June 29, 28, or July 28, 29.
I had a dream several years ago. Thanks, Fireman. I had a dream several years ago that there was something that happens. I was standing outside of a restaurant, and I looked at I got a phone call from a friend. I called up my friend. The markets had just crashed, and I said, now's the time to strike. It was a period of 3 days when the market crashed. Everybody was like this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the market's crashed. And I said, now's the time to strike. And the date when that crash happened, or the down move happened, was, I looked on the A-frame outside the restaurant. It was a calendar, and it was June 27th. And I believe it was a Thursday. But it was June 27th. But when I woke up, I said it also felt like it could be July 27th. So somewhere in that range between June and July, around the end of June, is when I'm going to start looking for the markets to reverse. And as soon as I post that video on YouTube, I said, I have this. My friend called me up and he says, you know what? It could be July of a future year or June of a future year. And I said, you're absolutely right. It can be. I didn't see the date of the year. I just saw those dates. And that was years ago. And I tell people ever since I saw it. So just this month, when I'm doing some new calculations, and I called up a friend and I said, hey guys, I'm seeing some new stuff with time and price, and I'm doing some new calculations. I'm going to be doing it soon. So I started this week. I've been studying like nonstop, almost nonstop, late into the night. And my new calculations are showing me so far June of 2026. I got to do some more calculations, but my initial projections are showing those dates here. Okay, right there, somewhere around there. So how I see the game going in the future is time to make money now. You're going to see a pullback in the morning, and then they're going to see time to make money again. Okay, there's going to be two big times to trade. Once we're here, I'm going to be using extreme caution, especially if we see health appear on this chart. If we see a health come, I'm going to be using that to see that big crash. So right now, I keep these arrows for about a year now, and I keep moving them to the right for when we see that calculation happen. But it's somewhere from this range. Armin?
No.
Okay. Anyone have questions, comments, my thoughts regarding how this works and plays out?
So it's now the time to buy?
Oh, it's still the time to buy. It's been the time to buy once we were under here. So this is still a good spot to buy cryptos. This one right here. Okay. That's the one spot, which where we're at right now. The other one is here. Now, last Saturday, I told you guys we're looking for cryptos that are moving into health while these territories are clear. This territory was clear. It was time to strike. This territory is clear. This is the second time to strike. Okay. So if you're looking for this to reverse, I'm going to say it's supposed to reverse here, which means you're going to see some more higher prices for cryptos, higher XRP, higher Bitcoin, higher many of your cryptos. Okay, we're going to see this come down more likely. Okay, that's my opinion. All right, so we're going to see that to be more likely to be the case. And then we're going to see a pause in the market once we're somewhere around 351. Okay, and then we're going to go up, and then we're going to have another time to strike in the future, maybe sometime next year. Sometimes, and this can happen quickly. But if Bitcoin already cleared here, we're going to see Bitcoin clear. And right now, I'm looking right now closer to the $500,000 mark for Bitcoin by the time we're here, and maybe even sooner. Currently, we're going to go over that number later on, but closer to around 500,000. It's very possible we're going to see 200,000 somewhere here, and maybe even the high 250s somewhere here. If possible, if we do that in just one fell move, because just these small moves from here to here are already like 115 to 130. So a move back down here is probably going to see us closer to 150 and then 200,000. A move down here is probably going to be closer to 300,000, and moves down here will probably be closer to 500,000. So that's how I'm calculating some of that just with this chart. But in my new maps, I'm also calculating the same numbers. So I'm really bullish the possibilities after these two big moves. But remember, this chart plays over sometimes years. Okay, sometimes this chart plays over years. So you guys need to understand that when I talk about these charts, it takes a long time. But it's great to know where the entries or exits are, right? At least the biggest stuff happening. Any other questions, comments? This chart, please.
Hey, Jason. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Pat.
Just a coincidence, but your date of 27th June or July, the pastor in Philippines who has been praying quite frequently over the last year or two, his wife had a dream that the 27th to the 30th were going to be very important, or something significant may be happening there. So I just wanted to share with the group down here that it may be something similar or coincidental of the 27th being mentioned by both you and the pastor down there.
Interesting.
And his wife had this dream, I think, just last week. And they were praying over it on a daily basis over the last couple of days, just to get a bit more clarity in terms of what was the significance of the dates between 27 and the 30th. The sort of information or the downloads they were getting was that it was to do with something with the XRP, Shiba, and Baltimore.
Okay, good. May we have time, finances, seed money, and be ready when those things happen, whether it's this year or next year. We're coming up on the end of July 27th. Today's the 27th of July, right? Tomorrow. These might be foreshadowing of the things that are to come, maybe these dates and cycles, but I'm going to say keep praying about all those things, and the Lord keeps showing the churches and the body of Christ what He's going to do. Thank you very much, Ben.
Hey, Jay, you might be right. Genius Act going to start on Monday, or more like Sunday.
Okay. 3.5. I'm putting the average, 3.52 average. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? And it's possible these can clear very quickly, guys. It's very possible. But if it clears really quickly, I'm still looking for that pullback. Because I had somewhere here or here, we're going to be pulling back in this range, okay? Right now, I'm just putting it at the average, 3.52. But let the Lord reveal more, and then we'll go from there, okay? Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say right now for this. Yeah, we're looking for that. Now, again, if we're here in this area, because I had a dream there, are we going to hit there? I hope so. It could be I believe it's a prophetic dream, and I saw we're here. So that means that if this chart is here, cryptos have to have been bullish according to here. Okay? And I think the sequence is this one first, and then this one. So that means that your cryptos are going to do well in the future. Is it now? This is indicating yes. All right. Let's move on. Royal says it's now. Good. Amen. And use this time for seed money, because the times to position yourself are important. Now, if we're here, one more thing. If we reject from here, this is the time to take some profits on some of those cryptos, especially if they happen to be somewhere, because this is just going to keep moving to the side, guys. So it might look something like this. I'll just move this. Let me move this. It might look like something here, okay? If this goes up, and you see the markets drop, it's going to be time to possibly short the cryptos here, which means you're going to need to get out of cryptos or make some money on the down move. But again, we're still talking maybe a year in advance. Okay, so when that happens, I've had dreams and visions where I was captaining a very large, like a yacht. It's a very yacht, and it seemed to be like the same type of yacht that I was standing on when I was in the platform when I first got my dream about 3 or 4 years ago about the crash that happened in the ocean. When that happens, I keep seeing dreams where I'm captaining a big ship like on the top of a water slide. In one dream, I went up to the water slide, we started going down. In another dream, I brought a lot of people up, a big group of people up to the top of the water slide, and we went down. So I helped us get to the top, and I helped us get down. And have fun going while we did it. And this yacht was a very nice cruise, and we were going down. And I think that maybe that's prophetic. Maybe I hope to be here for you guys a year from now, if this is the time from a year from now or in the future, where we can see where that happens. And then hopefully track some of those numbers, maybe the sevens, and look for when it's time to hit. Yeah. But for right now, it's not that time. It's right now, according to these calculations, I'm looking to be bullish. All right. Any other questions for me? Lydia? No problem. Okay, hot mic. Anyone else? All right. Let's move on to the last few cryptos for today, too. Near and Sam. I thought it was going to be far, but it's Near and Sam. I'll post these image notes at the end of the session. Thank you for joining us and tearing with us. Tomorrow we'll be here for WordRoom, for those who want to join. Alrighty. This parabolic, not so much helpful at the moment, unless this is all going to be hidden Ballard. Let's take this one away. I'm just going to show the more proper lines we need to be looking at. This health is a very weak health as price came back to this area. So let's adjust this possibly. Let's go to a weekly chart and see if we can be more accurate about these. Possibly there. We're just going to be taking what's verified on the chart. Okay. We still have a strong sword cut that seems to be hot. $1.42, $1.20. Is this really a parabolic here? Or is this a straight? Yeah, it's a parabolic. I will draw another sword cut based on that parabolic, somewhere around the the $4 range. Current price is $2.88. Let's get a little bit more practical with this crypto. Something more local. Are we in a uptrend or downtrend? Or sideways?
Up.
Okay, one would say up. We have some highs. What about these highs? These seem to get lower. What about the lows right here? This low is higher than that one. But these two lows are lower than these. Is it clear? What do you think?
I think overall we're in the uptrend. If you start from that beginning point and connect the bigger picture. No, I'll show you.
Yep.
Let me see.
You have this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
But we also have these lows which are getting here. What do you think, House?
We're kind of stuck in there until we actually get on this side. We're not gonna. Let me see if I can. Can't find my draw. How do I draw? Oh, there it is. We're kind of stuck here, aren't we, at the moment? So unless we get up here.
Yeah.
or get on top of this here.
I would agree with you. I would say right now we seem to be a little bit stuck. We're not really super in an uptrend, and we're not really super in a downtrend. So it's not so clear. So we're gonna have to reason within their current oscillation. So if all we had was this territory, we can use something like the volume to get a better idea of what we might actually be looking for. Now, I do have this.
Sorry, hold on.
Okay. I do have this angle here, which may be the phantom, and it does give me some information about this top here, but we missed it. Look very carefully again. Let's just go over this a little bit logically. I got an angle from here and here, which I'm hitting a few times, and I place it here at the core. I got a response here, but I didn't actually quite hit it here, did I?
It's a different angle.
Is it a different angle? It's possibly. We need to adjust and account for that other angle, which is slightly there. It could be a sign of weakness if we can't even clear up to the top. Okay.
Triangle. I guess the green line and the red one you just drew.
We also can do one more thing to account for this, and I'm going to show you what's the other thing we can do to account for that. So instead of drawing a separate angle, is there something else we might want to do with this area? Can anybody think of something else we might want to do to account for maybe that top here with this white angle? There's a technique we can use. It's quite simple.
I mean, you can use the cores, can't you?
That's right, core cluster. That's exactly right. That's what we're going to look at. So let's just put at the side CC, core cluster, or I'll just put the word core cluster, question mark.
But even if you draw that, you see the top of that first spike downwards, can't you just change the angle slightly?
I could.
From the white line? Just change that angle to meet the core of the second.
If I change that angle, I have to change the down one. And it could, that's another thing we could do. We could slightly try to modify this down one. But then I gotta, because remember, this is the key we're using, but this is the phantom. Okay? Now, one of the things we're just going to do is we're going to see if we have a core cluster in this quadrant, about right here. Somewhere between here and here, which means that along that date, I want this one to be squashed. Okay, I want price to be squashed there, and it's going to give me here. What do I do about this? I just keep it as a range. Okay, so I can still keep it as a range. So I'm still paying attention to it. I don't get rid of it, but it counts for that. And it lets me know with more clarity if this is the oscillation or not. So let's look at that and see what the truth is. If I don't have a core cluster, then we can always compensate with a different angle. For now, let's pay attention and kind of see what we got. Are we dealing with core cluster? Let's take a look. This is a weekly chart, so which time frame do I have to go to determine if I have a core somewhere there? What do I have to do to determine that?
Look at the monthly.
Look at the monthly. Or I look at a 2-week chart, which is the higher time frame. So let's start there at the 2-week. Still nothing? Nothing. Okay. Let's go to the monthly chart. What does the monthly tell us? The monthly tells us that the move is still in play, but the cores are much lower here. Now that's lower than what we even projected. So let's see if there's anything there. What do you think? There's this move and that move. So in this case, I'm going to say that we're definitely probably dealing with the range. Now to note this, okay, I'm just going to draw a rotated rectangle. I don't often draw these, but I'm going to draw this as a range because this helps me be somewhat accurate. A rotated rectangle I don't like to use because it's wonky on this program, but it's something like this. Okay. You have to I wish it would just let me rotate only one side, but it always just keeps rotating both sides. That's why I say it's wonky. Shrink this approximately to the range. There we go. Alright, so that's going to be our rotated rectangle range. And I'm going to type in this word. Monthly, or m.phantom. Okay. And I'm going to put the word core. .core, so I can see where that's at. It's not a full core cluster, but it's about where it should be. Let's not make it bold. It doesn't need to be bold. And then this will be this is going to be phantom, and I'll just put weekly. And with this one, I'll make it about dashed. And it does not need to be size 4 either, or the text doesn't need to be so bold either. So I'm looking this as a range. Therefore, my health still remains, and I give myself that room to breathe. All right? So that's going to help us. Okay, so those are ways we can solve that equation. The monthly is still intact approximately here, although it's a little bit messy. It's approximately where it should be. All right? So you can check my work if you want to. At the very least, we're still dealing with the major stuff going on between here and here. We could always try to solve for tiger if we want to later on. But for right now, I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm only going to use this as the range. So now like I said, I want to give you something more practical. We have 423. And I'm going to show you, are we incentivized to come back down to this area? How can we find out if we're more incentivized to come down for a rest right now? Or if we're just going to come back up right now? How can we solve for that? How should I approach that? Please, somebody help me. I'm new. How might we decide or give us a clue if we're looking to come back up or down?
You're going to look at volume, right?
We can look at volume. On this chart, on this monthly chart?
You could go into a shorter time frame and chop it up.
That's right.
And then, because near is not clear.
Yeah, we need to go back down to a smaller time frame to get some candles. Here at a weekly chart, we're starting to look where we want to look. Here is a 2-day chart. This is about pretty close to what we're looking at. Now, on this 2-day chart, I can chop it up into some smaller pieces. Yes, I have a smaller health here, and then I have another health that is here. But of those moves, the balance is so far really weak. Okay? I do have a volume zone block we can block out and look at the volume in these two areas. That's what seems to be our theme for today. And now we can use this to our advantage. Here we can start saying, well, Jae-Sung, let's look at the volume in these two areas. If the volume, since I already did the tutorial today, I'll just refresh you. If the volume, first of all, if there's health, we want to see some higher volume on these areas. So we can indicate there may be some buying going on. We don't know that just yet, but so far the moves are into health. Usually that happens. So if we have some higher volume on the down bars, that's great. That would indicate that there's some buying. However, if the buyers are losing, it will tell me in the volume with the micro analysis. Micro VSA, which is volume spread analysis. We're going to read the relationship between 1 and 2. So even if they're buying, we want to see that their buyers are going to win. For them to win, they need to have absorption / control. The buyers have to be winning. If the supply is increasing from point 1 to 2, they're losing. There's a smaller incentive, there's a higher incentive to come back down. If the volume is being drained, which means that you're going to see the scenario decrease or aggregately low, that means / no demand. That means that buyers are winning. So you're going to be looking for higher prices. So in this case, since we're imagining for the buyers, or we're solving for the buyers, we want to see who's got the incentive. These two will indicate that absorption has indeed happened / control. That means that whoever's doing the move, it's this case the buyers we're solving for, we're going to be winning. However, if the buyers are losing, you're going to see them challenge these areas, and if there's a great increase, you'll usually see it come down even lower. And those are going to be these, this is wrong symbol. Sorry. The decrease is that symbol. There we go. Yeah. Okay, and aggregately low. The increase in volume will, or equal to, or aggregately high, will indicate that the supply has not been controlled. Okay, that is absorbed or controlled, they're losing. So that means they lose. One tells you they win, and the other tells you they lose. So let's take a look and see who's winning. Okay. Here's the volume. The volume zone block. Let's block it out to simplify things. Okay, here's the volume in that area. Area number 1. It's approximately here, right? On the down bar, down move, it's approximately there, correct? So that's 1. Here's area number 2. We're dealing with some volume here in this block, maybe somewhere about right there. Okay, so this is number 2. What is the volume like between area 1 and 2? What scenarios might it be? It's definitely a type of decrease, right? What is the volume like? What is the answer? What's the volume?
Sorry, what's the question?
What's the volume relationship between area 1 and area number 2?
They're showing high volume at the buy-in.
Okay, still high volume at the buying area. So even if there's buying, are they winning? Okay, there's probably the high volume into health. Yep, into the health. But are they winning? Are the buyers winning?
No, because the volume's dried up. It looks like the price is going to turn around now.
Yeah, but is the supply dried up then?
No.
Is the supply? No, but the...
Yeah, look at that. Look how much still high the volume is. At the very least, we might be dealing with aggregately high. At the very least. See that?
Need no demand, right?
Yeah, we need a very low volume. In this case, it's still aggregately high. It is a decrease, and aggregately high is it can be a type of decrease, but in this case, it's decrease. Sorry. Yeah, it is a decrease. No, it's not greater than, sorry. It is a type of decrease, but it's still aggregately high. That's what I'm going to say. So it's a type of decrease, which is somewhat good, but aggregately high tells us there's still too much supply. So in this type of scenario, they're not winning just yet. So that means we're probably going to see one more challenge to this area in the future. At that time, we're going to measure the volume. If the volume's really low and there's a strong decrease again, / no demand, or aggregately low, in other words, okay, which is decrease, no demand / aggregately low. Sorry, I'm slaughtering my own words. Then that would mean that the buyers win, and we would be looking for higher prices. But at this time, it's not clear yet. At the very least, we're still looking for possibly another challenge. So I'm not are we really going higher yet? I don't think so. Not yet. I think we need to wait a little bit. So I'm going to say, my comments, I'm going to say this. The volume still shows aggregately high. This means the buyers in this context have not won yet, or not fully won, even if there is professional buying. Look for one more challenge to possibly appear. And what will that prices be? The volume zone block from $1, from about $1.90 to $2.20. Okay, $1.90 to $2.20 prices. Okay, $1.90. Then read the volume again. Then read the volume again. And I'll give you the answer here in advance. Low volume indicates, in this context, indicates higher prices. Now the reason it would indicate higher prices at that time is because the supply would have been absorbed. So if we can see that, but we don't know what we're going to see yet. All we know is that there's still incentive to come down. All right, so with near, we need it's not near yet. I'll give you that image so you guys can take a screenshot. Otherwise, just download it or just take a screenshot after the case, okay? So here's the image.
Did you miss Sam?
No, we're about to do Sam. We're still on near. Okay, here's the full image. Okay, I'll zoom in right there. Sorry, writing in the lower. Oops, hold on. That's better, yeah. Try that. Okay, yeah, got it. Oops.
This is near protocol, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, got it, everybody? All right, so this one, we're probably going to see a lower price challenge again, and then we'll determine where we're at from that crypto. All right, I'm going to put a little bar here indicating that I'm suspecting we're getting there, okay? Look for one more challenge.
Did we hit that sword cut?
Nope, we did not.
So you think we can come back to that, the bottom sword
Yeah,
cut?
the bottom one? No, we didn't hit it either. So those prices are going to be critical. But at the moment, I think the sword cuts are going to be critical for telling us some things. But at the moment, I'm looking for one more bounce. Now, if we do bounce and the buyers win, I'm going to be looking for that number. I'm going to be looking for the 423, and that might be good. And at that time, we can draw some more health in this thing. But as it is, it's going to be good. Okay? Probably in August. Near August. We're going to see some, either a reversal down or a move up. I'm going to be looking in August. Last crypto for today, Sam. Good evening, Sam. Is this a stock? The MYSE? Does anybody know?
Yes,
Oh,
it's a stock.
Okay, this is this one then. Okay, I got this one. The one that's currently $215, right? Large parabolic move. Move into weakness. The weakness was winning the battle here. Okay, which is this range here. You can see prices battling on the underside of these areas. Should be adjusted to that line. Battling on the other side of these areas. We really needed a strong health. This looks like it was a possible false breakout here with price barely clearing that number on a 2-day chart. I don't know if it broke on a weekly chart, but no, not really. And then we got another parabolic that's about this angle here, this was a sign of weakness. The big three we had was health, delay, and a weakness. Here's another move more recently. It's going to be a parabolic somewhere right there. And that was your next weakness. It's going to be underneath here. This parabolic's still in play. 152 at the 56 at the time. Now it's going to be closer to 143 before a health comes in. And then a few other things we can catch. In a downtrend, how do we trade? How do you make money in a downtrend? I think I used this as a tutorial once.
Hunt the up move.
We hunt the up move, and you can short, or at the very least, exit your cryptos and get safer and find another entry back in. Okay, that was from an old tutorial. If we're in a downtrend, we're calculating for this move right here. That last up move is something like this. But after a while, the down moves start appearing differently. The first ones go up like this. The second ones go like this. The third one goes like this. Can anybody draw the next one after here? What's the next up move that looks like if this is in sequence? Somebody draw it for me, please. If this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. What's the next type of up move we're looking at? Good job. It's a flat. Did you see it? Okay, the next one's a flat. Then what after that? It's actually like this. Every now and then I take you to the corner and I do this called the clocks. Okay? But basically, this is a type of up move in our context of our art. You understand? The up move starts slowing down and weakness starts appearing, but eventually the up move is actually a down move. Let me show you what I mean. Okay? If this is an up move here and weakness enters here, then you start having up moves along that track. You can use those type of up moves to your advantage. Here, the angle is much more severe than it is here. But eventually the up move becomes a flat, doesn't it? So here is this in real life. And they're not always in order, but most of the time they are. Here's the next up move, it's a flat. Here's the weakness. But we also start seeing, this one's still in play. Okay. Then we start seeing the next up moves, which is something like this. So let's see if we can apply those to our situation. Can anybody catch the next weakness that might appear in this downtrend as we start entering this? Now, See if you can use this principle to your advantage. Okay? See if you can see it. Can anybody see it? We already did some of the up ones and the flats. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Can anybody catch a 5? Okay. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see it. Can anybody catch a 5? If so, where's it at? Where would have been the weakness that appeared on this? The last crypto for today. I want you guys to get it. If all you're getting is pieces, you're going to be successful. H, you got it? No? Okay. Good job, H. That's one down move, but let's try using the supports. Just like I showed you before. If this is a support here, that would be maybe like that, the 3 or 4. Where's another one? You almost got it. We're using the bottoms in this case. You want to try again? Use the bottoms. Okay. I'm going to simplify it with the energy centers after 10 seconds, unless you guys get it. Okay. I'll simplify it with the energy centers. I'm going to hide my lines. Keep making the answer simpler for you. You'll catch it. Good. You're close. You're very close. Good. Toya got it. Good job, Toya. Good job. All right. Here's the energy centers. Okay. We'll just do it together. I'll clear your annotation. Good job. That's what I was looking for. Okay. We're going to simplify this with some crayons. Okay. I really like the crayons because they help me. Here's an energy center. Here's an energy center. Here's an energy center. These really are one. Okay. One big one. Maybe this big one. Okay. The other one's going to be here. Okay. Maybe this is a round structure, but we're left with something like this. Okay. Now, I already showed you some of those up moves. Alright? Slash, the flats, right? So I showed you guys that. And the flat, which is in this general area. Now the third one is these two right here. That one and this one. Check it out. Toya drew it just right now. Somewhere approximately here. And with stocks, you got to give it a little more wiggle room because they're messy. Did you see it? Did you catch it? This should have been resistance. In a downtrend, you hunt the up moves, but they start like that, then they start going flat, and they start going like that. If you can catch it, you know what you're looking for in advance. Basically, these people who were trading lost money, and they were like, oh, I lost money, and this is the pain point. This is when they were putting their stops here along that track, and it moved into something negative, and they're like, oh, I just hope it comes back so I can get out for a loss. And so it's not so painful, and they get out right there. Right? That's how that works. And you can verify most of those moves with your own key angle. So once you draw your initial angle, duplicate it and place it on top, just like we do with all key angles, and you get your verification. And it lets you know you're doing it right, okay? So if I take that angle, and I duplicate that angle in between those energy centers, I place it here, in between those areas. So if this case, if I'm using, let's say this one, and let me use red, okay? If I'm using this energy center and that energy center, I place it in between the energy centers at the highest point. It's that one. So therefore, this is a verification, and this is a verification. It lets you know that this oscillation is strong, so that weakness that appeared is important. Okay, so this is telling me right here, hey, your crypto is going in the wrong direction, or your stock is going in the wrong direction. You want to look for this to come down at that point. And it did. Okay, so that's how you can use that to your advantage. You got it? Does that make sense? Okay, now that we have this, let's take a look and one more on this same chart. All right, can anybody catch the next weakness that would appear on this chart based on the principle I was just showing you? Okay, I'll put the energy centers up on the board again so you guys have them. These are some of the major ones. Can anybody catch the next weakness that might appear on this board using the principle I just taught you? Can you catch it? I'll make the screen a little bigger. There you go. We could do a parabolic. That's one iPad. We could. There's one more we can just using the straight principle, the straight angles. We'll do that parabolic. Yes, they're nice and curved. Nice and curved, so we're going to draw like that. So if this goes up, we're probably going to be looking somewhere like there. That's one. There's something else that we can draw manually using the straight angles. Where was it? I just gave it to you a while ago with the move that caught that one. Okay, now there's something else we can draw here. It might be of concern. Think about the clocks. They start here, they go flat, then they start coming down like that. Where's the next one? Okay, all right, I'm going to give you the answer. Here it is. If this is an energy center area, the meaty part is going to be somewhere about right here, okay? Now, this energy center is about right there if I'm being really accurate, okay? Oops, sorry, somebody drew on the board. Good. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to take these together, and it starts showing us the end of the downtrend. Slash, oops, that should be, I'm going to make that white. This starts showing us the end of the downtrend slash the weakness. So this area that we're looking here at this bounce is still a type of weakness. And maybe that's why we're still trying to squash. Price is trying to say, are we really breaking out? It's trying to fight for its life. At this point, I would look for a strong pushing volume to get me back into health. As it is, it was showing that, hey, it's dangerous right here. Dangerous right now. Unless we had another reason to buy based on other data. But when we start seeing this battle start being won, then things are looking on the up and up. In addition to all of that, let's just draw our health, our next health. Now we can draw our health after we're done drawing all of our down moves. The health is going to be somewhere like right there, okay? So as it is, our health has to appear above this line. We're still rejecting off of this top. So is it safe to buy this way? I would say, in my opinion, it's delay territory, okay? What do you think? Anyone else?
No, not really.
All right, questions, comments, this stock. Okay, we want to see this have higher volume on the macro volume analysis into health, and then we have a chance to fight. Let's draw some of these so I can get you some accurate numbers. Here is the numbers. Here I'll draw for health for you. We'll draw that one as the watch line. Let me delete this. And then I'll give you the exact numbers, okay? I like to explain these things with crayons first, so you have a good idea of what we're looking at before we actually do it, so you know more so what you should be looking at. Okay, so if I'm going to move this along the track, I'm going to be looking at maybe there. And the other thing we were looking at is that lower parabolic. We got a parabolic, so let's draw that parabolic on the underside. Good catch, iPad. Was it iPad who drew it? I missed who was drawn that. I don't want to give credit to the wrong person. So I'll just give it to Superfood. You're like, what? It was me, I did it. Why can't I delete this? Oh, it's locked. Why is this not going? Holy moly. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to be looking there. I think I just deleted something important. Okay. 234, if we're being more correct about the parabolic, in the meaty part. With stocks, there's a lot of noise, so I'm using this as a round structure. Everybody got that? That's how I got that core. I'm ignoring this like that, and I'm putting the meat for the real calculation. Once we have it, we're supposed to move it straight up and down, and that's not straight up and down for me. So let's make it straight up and down. There we go. Good. Oh, exactly where it's supposed to be. So right now, I'm not looking so much for this to be in health. Health appears, this needs to be a little lower, and then above there's the health. All right, so if we were to examine this stock, we would say, not yet. Not yet. And are we really likely to continue going down? If price can't bull into the health, I'm going to be looking sell. I'm going to be looking. Okay. Time change. Yeah, that was an important day. April 28th. That was an important season. This is of note. It looks like it's close to an old low too. If you look at the old low, it matches the bottom parabolic around 136 prices, somewhere around here. So I'm going to say there's still an incentive for this guy's stock. You're going to see it probably go low. And that's going to conclude all we have for today. Next time we'll look at some more stuff regarding this crypto. Yeah, it's just showing too much weakness on this board. That would have been the event line, and the event line showed weakness. So all weakness across the board on this time. Yeah. Anyone have any other questions regarding this crypto or the cryptos we followed today? I won't look at any new cryptos, but I'll be back on Monday. Okay. Anyone have any more questions for me? All right. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for WordRoom Sunday. So those who want to join us, we'll have some communion in the remembrance of our Lord Jesus Christ. Jason, what are you trading? What is your strategy? My strategy is always the same. My strategy is to pick cryptos that move into health in a bullish market. So if I was trading something, which I'm trading only right now, XDC, I'm trading XRP. I think I have a few more on my other exchanges, but I'm bullish the markets right now. I like the BTC.D, which I talked about, I think, last Saturday. It moved into weakness, which means altcoins have a chance to move up. But the one I really like right now is LUM. So look at LUM. I gave you guys a report on it last week. LUM, I believe, is going to be coming to a good spot. I believe it's sitting in a proper place. I think it's moving. It's going to be moving up, provided it doesn't have any kind of backdoor thing. I think that after 97 cents, we'll probably let it go and come back at 62 cents. But I think that's the only ones I'm really excited about. I put a lot of bullish ones last week. There was a lot that were moving into good spots. And I want to look at Shiba on Monday. I want to look at SHX. Shiba and Shina. But my strategy is always the same. I buy stuff right at a breakout as close as I can to health with the territory in a bullish market based on USDT.D or the dominance and that crypto's own territory. So if the crypto has room to grow, I'll calculate how much percentage and I'll compare those with a few and then I'll buy a few of those. Silver on Monday, ETN.
It's making moves.
Yeah, big moves, I think.
They would need to make a lot of big moves for me to break even on it.
We're squashed right at our target at 0.27. Is that just today?
I think I'm at break even.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just squashed right at the target. I really want to be above 0.039 before we go up. But did that hit just today or this week? On this week? Yeah.
It was yesterday. Okay,
there's the health along the track here and a move up there. Now, one of the things there's our resistance. Okay. Yeah, I'm not super bullish ETN. If it moves up in health and you guys are trading those, that's fine. You guys can do that. That's why I give you guys all the higher so low. But in my opinion, I'm not super bullish ETN, like anything longer term, I should say, this type of trading I do. But in short term, again, that's good. There's the target. It's hit. And there's the resistance. It almost hit exactly at the resistance. Right now, it hit the number I've highlighted, but it's actually just quite a little higher. But 0.039, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a massive move from the price it was at, isn't it? And
yeah.
A week ago it was sitting at, is that 11, and then it went to 3.9?
Yeah, let's see. It was sitting at right there.
50%, is it?
156%. Currently, right now, sitting at still 83. Yeah. I'm not looking for this to continue to be bullish long term this season. The next resistance is you're basically almost at. So let's see what happens here. But yeah, I don't want to bet a lot on this one just yet. I have incentive to come down because of the increase in the volume at these areas. If there's selling that goes on here, let's read this. I want to read that here. But yeah, I still have incentive to come down to challenge these areas. I want to see a big health before stay in, so we'll see what happens. If there's a chance for it to move, it's going to possibly be above this one. This is where I want to start taking this crypto seriously. But that's just my opinion. Something I'm going to be showing you guys next in the coming months, especially starting next month. I'm going to be showing you guys something we knew that we've never done. And so far, most of our trading strategy for about 99% of everybody in the market is to actually trade the trends, right? That's what we do. We're more knowledgeable. But in the future, we're actually going to get the actual low, which if you ever just start trying to pick lows, a lot of the master traders, they'll tell you that's the best way to lose a lot of money, to pick the lows. But one of the things we're actually being able to find using some very advanced mathematical calculations is to plot the time, the season, and even the possible prices before it happens. Gann was able to do that, but he had a lot of techniques that he used that bled into lots of different trading strategies that people use today. But there was secret calculations he used to arrive at the same conclusion. And a lot of those things that we use as traders are pieces of some of those elements. But if you ever could put them together, you would actually be able to find and calculate time and price in advance. And this is how he was able to calculate years in advance. He made something like $50 million in his lifetime. And that's a lot back then. He was able to plot price in the future. Not just see the resistances, the trends, but actually explain how they worked and why they worked. He had some very advanced stuff that required some high math, but most of that math just keeps pointing to the same story, where these changes occur in the future. And I hope to be able to properly digest the math that's beyond it. I always try to say, let's just use art to avoid the math. And it helps us a lot of the time. But some of the stuff that he's explained is that there's short-term moves that you can trade against the trends, and which I don't like to normally do. So the math has to really check out if I'm going to even do things like that. But so far from my studies, the math checks out very well. So if I can absorb a lot of that math and place the calculations more properly, we can catch turning points even within your own analysis. For example, if I'm still bearish ETN, maybe this move would have showed up on a clock. Maybe some of the smaller short terms against the trend would show up on the clock. And in those cases, it would be beneficial. It's very rare to be able to see those kind of calculations in advance. So that's why I've been studying so much to my brain almost explode. But I keep feeling like I'm absorbing it. I feel like I can really absorb it. About a year and a half ago, I could only wrap my mind around a piece of that. And my mind could hold that concentration for just so long before I lost it. But now, not so. I woke up about a week ago with a strong incentive and a dream in my mind. That's my favorite word for today, incentive. Let's say it again for old time's sake, incentive. I had a dream where there was a reason for me to go to a thrift store, because I had a dream that I was at this thrift store, and in the thrift store there was a folder, and in this folder there was money, bills, old bills from like old $2 bills, and there was properties, and there was deeds, and there was lots of stuff in there. And long story short, I felt the dream was telling me that there's a hidden secret at this bookstore that I'm going to, that's from old, that was passed over or looked over upon by others, but for you it will represent great wealth and things that will be transferred into your hand, and for those who will follow you. And I felt like it was for the community. And I was like, okay. And I think I forgot all about it. And me and Melody we were looking to take our son to go play at the playground. And we were trying to go to a modern bookstore because my son stole a book from the bookstore. And we were like, oh my gosh, he stole the book. We didn't know he took it and put it in the cart. So we said, okay, next time we're down there, that way we'll turn back the book. And so as we were going, we noticed that we forgot the book. We were like, yeah, we're going to turn in the book today. And we forgot the book. So what we did was we went back to the store. We just said, let's just go take him to play and we'll go downtown and explore. So we took him to play, and then we went downtown to explore. And when we explored, we found ourselves in an old thrift store. It was an old bookstore. It looked like a library. Everything you could smell, the dusty used books. But while I was there, I found a book that really spoke to me. And I remembered it was something that the Lord had showed me a year and a half ago. And I said, and I won't tell you what book it was or what it was about, but as I looked through the book, I felt like my mind was understanding it. And I was like, There's something here. And then I got it. I said, man, that book was really speaking to me. But that's really weird. I need to go pray about this. And Melody said, hey, remember you had that dream that you were in a bookstore? And I was like, oh man, the bookstore looked just like the dream. It's very possible that they're related. And the Lord is having me understand some things about time and price. And so I prayed through the night. And when I woke up, I felt really strong in my spirit, a lot of peace about what I was about to study and endeavor. So I said, Lord, give me some favor. And I said I was going to study this in the future, but I ended up starting the very next day. And those are the things I'm studying. I feel like I'm understanding the math, and I'm going to hopefully now hold on to that concentration and be able to put this in simple terms for you guys to understand in the coming months. Starting next month, I'm going to give you some of the principles that I'm learning that can help us capture those bottoms before the moves into health. No, normally now our strategy is all about looking for health and things, but now we're going to find health before it appears, even if it's short-term health. So that's all I want to say about the preview.
Yeah, I have a question on that ETN. If you'll pop it up again, could you look at those wicks and see if there's a trend line there?
Yeah, the wicks match.
So what does that tell us? Does that tell it's right there. Even higher. What if you went up higher to that high wick?
This is the current high wick right now. You have wick. About the cores, these wicks don't match. Let's see. Let's borrow that one. Let me see. Let's see if I'm only using the wick sign, which I often don't do unless the bottom matches. But if I was just connecting those wicks, I think I did that already. Hold on. Okay. If I only was connecting those wicks, it's going to tell the same story in this case. So the cores matching that, and this tells the same story. So if you were looking at it like that, you could use that.
Yeah, thank you.
But when you get those angles like that, give it a different color if it's a separate angle, and also try to like that. So in this case, do these still match? Yeah, they still line up. Maybe with some of these smaller wicks here. They both tell almost the same story here. It's only years later they start deviating. Here they're crossing over about these points, so they're still relatively all in the same location. But as time goes on, you'll see those angles really widen out and spread. That's why I don't really often do that technique. But even if you were, they're still in the same general area. Okay. All right, my friends. Any other questions for me? We'll be back on Monday to properly look at ETN. And we'll look at silver. Do you guys have a great day? God bless you.